Hello and welcome everyone. This is Blackadder at Blackadder's Place. And I welcome you to today's stream. It is 30th of October 2022, and therefore it is 20 years since, well, the bit of a fateful game for many of us has actually launched. So therefore let's have a look on, well, what you have been through with the game since then. And well, I'm thinking that a good idea and how to do that and how to honor the game is going to be to look at some of the really old games, like real old games. And well, then you possibly could be also having a look at the demo, what it included, maybe have some kind of small gameplay in there as well. We'll see how the evenings can be developing. And I have in general kind of looked into my personal archives of games that even haven't been, as far as I know, posted anywhere, so I have found some fun stuff there, so that's what I'm kind of looking forward to. But you're gonna be also starting with a bit of a vanilla game that definitely is, it looks like, one for the ages. I haven't seen it yet. It has been recommended a few times, and I'm thinking that this is a very good opportunity to actually look at it. So I guess maybe it could be there for launching into the game and get things going. And once you're gonna be kind of having a bit of a feel for that, then obviously then we could be going for not the demo and having some look into that. So first let's do some casting. Let's kind of begin somewhat in a bit of a standard way today for the Sunday evening. So let's also pause the music. It seems like that finally, after some time, this Age of Mythology soundtrack is not something that's gonna be tagged, because it used to be tagged on YouTube, but it seems like for some time it's not at this point relevant anymore. It has been apparently resolved, so I'm kind of happy for that. That is the case, so therefore we can be on utilizing it here and there for, well, our background sounds and music and whatever along those lines for the streams. But yeah, well, first let's therefore, I guess, get into the game so that you can also let people come in. And I need to wait now finding the game. It's kind of actually funny, because at this point it is going to be this one, Salska versus, this is not AoM Chris, this is not the Canadian Chris, this is actually PG Fire. Because apparently from what I have seen, I can just already launch into it, there were all kinds of funny stuff going on in general as far as the nicknames. That, for example, right after launch, effectively Chris, who was an AOT expert at that point, he basically couldn't launch and get a nickname of AoM Chris or Lem Chris, which is this. And because basically other people already took it from him. As far as I have been able to find, AoM Chris was taken by Grund, and this Lem Chris has been taken by PG Fire. So of course, the top expert. And against him is right now going to be standing VNE. Salska, VNE, I actually knew what it was. Something like VinaCIS? Well, at this point, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody is gonna be able to supply the information somewhere down the line, but we are gonna be there for beginning today's bit of a maybe celebratory evening, or simply just good time with Age of Mythology. Yep. Those of you who have played a bit before the balance patches will be recognizing the kind of glory of the original maps. Right at the beginning, so this is actually starting really well here. Reminiscing on the olden times. Apparently it's going to be double gold mine Ghost Lake that we have. And well, the game has been played, let me now find out, on 25th April 2003. So this was basically, what is it, November, December, January, February, March, April, half a year after release of the game. So fairly fresh game. Fairly fresh one. And it has been reposted many times on RTS-Sanctuary from what I have seen. And frankly, I couldn't find the original topic for this game. I apparently downloaded it somewhere really in the past, I guess, because I'm having a really low number, like 2000 something on the rats from RTS-Sanctuary, or back then AOT Sanctuary. So that's a bit strange for me, but nonetheless, it's still the same game. Maybe you have seen it, maybe not, but haven't. So I'm gonna be looking forward to also casting it for the first time, and therefore having maybe some surprise base. Well, a surprise based on how the game is gonna be progressing and going. So apparently, in general, it looks like we're gonna be getting some decent hunt. Apparently, part of it may be spawned off the map, it looks to me, frankly. Because we should be having the same amounts of kind of like groups on Ghost Lake, if I'm not mistaken. So it feels to me that part of it is in the void. That could hunt, good, not gold mine, rather TC for him. The gold mines definitely are a bit more open. By the way, you can see Salska is going to be playing therefore with an Odin. Whereas if we switch into PG Fire, who's going to be on right now Chris nickname, he is going to be playing with the Posse here. So Poseidon versus Odin. Frankly, that is a matchup you might be even seen today. Quite a bit. And this is, by the way, vanilla, of course. This is not Titans, so no auto queues. Everything clicked in manually. You can see right now all the way back in the ages. Casting the lure next to Granary. No, not next to TC. And how is it actually shaping up with his gold mines? That's okay. This other one seems to be also not too terrible. But of course the forest fire threat is gonna be quite a bit real. And definitely looks like it's gonna be a bit of a thing. But we probably could be right now turning off the fog of war. So basically we don't have anything observing or anything along those lines. Not at all whatsoever. And that's gonna be currently Toothed Arrows as the relic in here. There's gonna be of course the increased damage for the archers. Seems like I don't have the tooltips here. Yeah, well, gonna be there for doing it really the old school way with all of it all together. So this is actually a fairly interesting gold mine currently for fire. Not too far away from the TC. Obviously this is gonna be played a bit differently because now, sure, it's kinda cool to be having this gold. But if you cannot be taking a town center in classical age, it's a whole different gameplay than just that. It's gonna be therefore still quite a bit open. Same as the ones through left side, so it seems to me... No, that's kind of weird map slightly for actually Salska. Because you can see he's gonna be having the gold mines to the right flank. 3 of them, all 3 of them by the way. Whereas the town centers are gonna be on the other side. Trojan Gate Hinge for... That's all hit points, I think it's all hit points, right? 20% wall hit points for him. No, and that's gonna be therefore slightly better map for Chris currently, who is going to be having decently safe TC, which is the same for Salska, and this still kinda is a bit of a strong position, so we'll see if he's gonna be able to somewhat utilize it or if there's gonna be some issue or problem. Otherwise, the berries seem to be slightly better position for Chris than they were for Salska, not hugging the gold mine in there. As Freya is gonna be in at 447, whereas you do see right now Hermes is going to be the unit girl of choice quite a bit later, 555 advance, and it wasn't because they were having low hunt. Well, look at that decision. Anyway, let's therefore get this so that we are gonna be seeing all the details in there, and everything is gonna be right proper for us. Okay, to the south, just gonna be seeing that the hunt is just about done. There's going to be some couple of polar bears for another 400. It's kind of nice. Definitely could be quite a bit helpful. Oh yeah, definitely. Can say now 3 here, 5 there. Definitely half of the hunt is spawning off the map. So that's another disadvantage for Salska. Can see double Aurochs. You're having one couple. Did even actually the further Aurochs spawn off the map as well? Actually, it feels to me that they did, because the polar bears are the same. It's only a goat. Yeah, I'm actually thinking he might have lost double hunt, maybe. Half of the caribous and 1 Aurochs. No, that's kinda nice, I guess, for Chris, AK Fire. Who is gonna be at this point suffering exactly right now the fire on him? That's not entirely too terrible, because you can see right now he doesn't have that many wood lines. It's fairly interesting. It's gonna be all gone, and therefore all the woods are gonna be forward for fire. And like significantly forward. So this is gonna be a bit annoying, and of course quite a bit of a help to Salska, who's going for a bit of a combination of Ulfies and apparently raiding cavalry. It's an interesting combo right from the start. You can see today probably you will be seeing mostly people going for probably cavalry, even though the Ulf, either or. Not like a combination this way at the very start. You'll be seeing either straight cavalry or straight Ulfsaks. But here apparently it's gonna be decided by Salska. Bit of a combo would be useful. But this is vanilla, so therefore Ulfsaks do not have bonus against cavalry, right? Decent against cavalry, but I think that doesn't mean... I think that the bonus came only in Titans. Right? I think it did. Maybe even in balance patch at this point. Well, that's already way too into at this point confused in memory with all the balance patches. But I'm thinking that the original game didn't have that. But well, maybe there's gonna be a vanilla expert in chat. He's gonna be able to supply that little piece of info. But we are going to be there for, at this point, having this. This is something I wanted to maybe even remove, but well, too late for that. So maybe next time you're gonna be able to do so. As currently you can see 47 pop limit for Salska, or for Fire rather, whereas Salska is gonna be at 62 already. I'm basically going to be having right now the advantage with the Ufis, and it's going to be helping a lot. As they're gonna be made so damn quickly. Right now having Hippicons, of course, at, you can say about now 20 seconds. 15 upon a Heroic Age a bit later in there. But much more importantly, we are actually hearing the Great Hand cast by Salska. Gonna be slightly looking very decasted upon. And what did he cast it upon? Had to be here, because there were only 3. So right about now he's having 4. No, and he got 1 extra Orok. So you got about like 550 extra food. Maybe extra in there. 700, not sure. That's potentially the max that could have been gotten. And get in rather. No, but currently you can see it's gonna be 1 and 1 with Chris, as he's not entirely wanting to, of course, underestimate right now the enemy army. And apparently you're gonna be even adding quickly throwing axemen. Wow, throwing axemen are a bit unexpected, because they obviously do not counter anything here. It's not entirely a type of unit I'll be necessarily expecting in this position and situation, but well, nonetheless, whatever the case, there is going to be a bit of a thing here apparently, and we are going to be right now ready with quite a decent wall in here. It doesn't seem like that he's gonna be going for necessarily tower yet, or let's gonna check out. Well, the resources do not seem to be necessarily there, so probably not yet. Triple stable, that seems a bit greedy for this early stage right now, but medium Hippicons are in. Can see 87 pop limit. He's going to be having actually a solid army. Just currently he's playing maybe slightly passively, as he's gonna be murdering the hunt. Just so I guess the opponent is gonna be having something a bit more of a decay on them and can't be taking them all that freely. And of course, since they're gonna be spread out, it's also gonna be maybe affecting the efficiency to a certain degree. That's only, by the way, Raven here to the top. And well, raiding cavalry from Salska is gonna be already heading deep into the wooded territory, and it's of course exactly as you mentioned a bit earlier what could be right now the advantage, and that is that he's simply going to be forced together in quite a forward position. What I mentioned with Chris, that he is a bit passive, is that I would be liking maybe him taking about, I don't know, maybe 3 Hippicons and going for a visit to the other side, just to be maybe forcing Salska to kind of like relinquish the full-on attack and assault that he's right now undertaking. It seems like you can see 105 pop limit for Chris, missing the Housey, not anymore. Whereas Salska on the other side, he's gonna be effectively the same. So they seem to be right now reaching the pop limit on a similar timing, with the difference being that Chris, aka PG Fire, is going to be currently having, no, well, the medium hippies, which is not something that we do see from the red player. Okay, it's gonna be there for right about now. Even, oh, getting early actually even attacking upgrade. Not interested in the Heroic Age at all. And now just gonna be duking it out in the Classical Age, as used to be of course the case quite regularly in the olden times. Apparently also villages are moving for second gold for Salska. Looking at this part of the map, no, and armor also getting ready for Chris, but frankly for him it might be Heroic. I can say that the food is almost there. Seems right now the gold. It's quite a bit more understandable from his point of view. You can say it now that's going to be there for copper weapons and medium archers for PG Fire. You can say now it's gonna be having even Boso. Well, good economical upgrades for him. On the other side, yeah, of course, the hell. This is absolute classic. Okay, let's take a screenshot of that. You just needed to be enjoying that in the olden times. In whatever kind of sarcastic way. You can see Hendax and Pickaxe. As you do not have right about now the plow yet, but he already is thinking about it. But of course, with the sheer power of the Greek units that we have here on the same pop limit, it's quite a bit inevitable that Salska will be having to give up on his assault. As you can see right now, no medium infantry. Cavalry is at least going to be medium. Getting copper mail in there, Chris. Obviously no thunder in hoofs yet, or anything along those lines. And he's gonna be at this point. Chris is playing really carefully. Entirely certain if it's actually kind of like that much of a great idea. Miyagi's giving good map control to Salska, which could be coming back to bite him. And of course with the heroic age that he's gonna be possibly getting a bit faster, it might not be entirely that relevant, as you're running out of hand just about now. Still do have right now those dudes on the left, which we know about, and the berries, so he doesn't have to be necessarily fully farming so far. Only possibly a bit later, as the heroic age for Salska is in the end not entirely going to be too far behind either. Couple shields, making sense. You're gonna be losing the armory, which won't be entirely that much of a huge problem, frankly. Especially since he's gonna be right now utilizing it to get himself the... Oh, ho, ho. I like him to actually see that. That's something that you don't see even today in Age of Mythology. This is absolutely taken from AoE 2. They of course built lumber camps like these, even in the olden times. So, going for the efficiency here, kinda nice to see. Also gonna be partially working as a piece of wall in. That can be somewhat, I guess, double-sided, in case you need to be protecting and saving the whales. But whatever the case, it's just a bit of an interesting little moment here to be seeing and witnessing. Okay, medium raiders are gonna be there for having still the same. On the other side, medium hippicons, they're gonna be having spirity charge on top of it. So good upgrades as this gotta getting researched for Salska. And as you're gonna be switching to Chris, getting out the archer range, and now finally he's gonna be advancing to heroic. So Dionysus, yes. Proper old school Dionysus. Today we'll be mostly advancing through, no, mostly. Frankly, against an Odin in this matchup, Dionysus is absolutely legit and viable. But people do prefer Aphrodite because simply Curse is an immediate effect god power and does have quite a bit of influence on the fights. Not like Bronze would be bad, but you can kind of gain a bit more of a swing in the battle with the Curse if you actually do get to cast it well. But well, that's of course gonna be Salska already checking out the gold, as he's gonna be fully realizing this is the next important part on the map. As while we do have Chris already on the left gold mine, there's not much of a protection here in any kind of way. So this is of course a whole lot more legit. As you can see, it's kind of funny how we can definitely tell. He's basically just like sending the units there, leaving them standing because they do take a bit before they start attacking on their own. You can see it there. And then he's basically just going to do something else. He doesn't necessarily check the units immediately, or there's also maybe a second reason that he could be doing it because he doesn't want to be targeting the single villager. He just wants to be having the AI for the units working out, and therefore kind of spread it automatically, which usually does tend to work a bit better because it's gonna be a bit of a natural spread. There's some kind of logic behind it, coded in. But well, nonetheless, DC is gonna be immediately taken by Salska, who is going to be currently taking the large gold mine. Already under control. No, but it's gonna be apparently meaning, yeah, that Chris is gonna be having the free door to the left side. This is obviously a bit insufficiently played by Salska. Should have been, of course, taking care of the TC. But I'm thinking that maybe he was lacking imagination that Chris is gonna be going actually that way and into that direction. Maybe he wasn't expecting it all that much. Was hoping that he's gonna be keeping the opponent kind of contained here to the right. But we already do have heavy hippies. And we have actually already reached 15 minutes. Game definitely flying. And there's the bronze. Yeah, well, don't entirely blame him. It's gonna be instant stop of the hill fort. And actually a bit of a problem maybe. So I'm wondering if he's gonna be casting the frost on that. Because there is an army that could be fighting next to the TC. And maybe if he would be right now forcing Salska away, he could be even taking it down. So I'm thinking that's a bit of a possible threat. But what is kind of cool to see is that he basically keeping quite high army all the time. And that is without auto-queue. So basically you can see when every single time when we actually see the house message, it basically means that players are already even over-clicking. Okay, that's gonna be right now the frost coming up. Frost right now ready with immediate, even actually ceasefire against that. Interesting. I'm not sure we would have actually seen this too much today. Casting actually ceasefire to protect bronze, no less, frost. That is a very interesting decision. And Nulus, thank you very much for the raid. Hope you're having some good games today. Yeah, right now gonna be having some, yeah, well, 20 years anniversary stream with Age of Mythology. Some really old games. This is a game from April 2003, so half a year after release of the original game. Between not Chris, but PG Fire. Top level player back then. VinaCIS as well, of course. Top level Expertosos. And AoM demo, that is AoM demo. Trial version. Demo version. I know that it's a foreign word to today's gamers, but back in the olden days, games actually came with demos that you could try. You could try the game and then decide if you want to be buying it upon that. So yeah, Age of Mythology demo from 20 years back. We're gonna be trying that as well. So that is an actual thing that no problem works. Because most of the old games actually do work no problem. The thing that doesn't work and why, for example, for Age of Mythology you need a no CD launcher is the protection, copy protection. So yeah, that's usually the problem and something that is not working anymore and not supported by the newer systems. Nope, not a new demo, it's an old demo of course. So if you were baited on that, then sorry about that, but yeah, that didn't actually occur to me. That maybe people could be taking it a bit differently. Yeah, no problem. That really didn't occur to me at all. That you could be taking it for retold or whatever. But that's gonna be years away from us. So that's not something that should be part of the conversations currently. Too seriously, frankly. But nonetheless, you can see with the Frost gone, we are gonna be apparently changing into a bit of a, not like dominance, but taking the initiative currently for Chris. Salska is gonna be apparently on the defensive. Military-wise, you can see double bronze already. They go in really quickly for the upgrades, frankly. Kinda quicker than today we would be. You can see a double copper on the other side for Salska, who is kinda low on the echo. Slightly curious of the upgrades. Actually not bad. You can see both irrigation and pickaxe, it's not too terrible. If you're gonna be switching into PG Fire, then he's going to be having right about now what, no, somewhat similar, just a switch between the food and the gold. With the hippies and archers, I guess kind of understandable. Okay, Petrobos, no, he'll be liking some pop limit for that. But he does have already all 3 TC, so he's gonna be having to wait potentially for 45, there we go. He should be able to get the Petrobos from that. Unless he's gonna be having some filled archer ranges and everything, which he kinda doesn't. So yeah, Petrobos will be coming up. And that will be, of course, a bit of a serious problem for Salska, who, at this point, is gonna be getting, oh, I know, the longhouse, maybe just could have been getting a bit earlier, but that's gonna be fine. And it seems like gonna be having a bit of a, maybe some static gameplay in general. But, finally, what the hell, Prodroma he's gonna be sending into raiding? Well, I'll be sending some Hippicons for sure. But nonetheless, at least he's doing this. I'm kinda happy that we are gonna be seeing that. Otherwise, yeah, today we will be probably seeing quite a lot more raiding all over the place. By both the Poseidon and the Norse player. The Odin here, apparently even Goat is gonna be coming to fight. No, and we don't have right now the heavy Toxotai here. Probably, it looks to me that really Chris should be getting a victory out of this. Just kinda trying to see if he's microing the archers against the throwing axeman. I don't think he is. He's basically leaving it on auto fire. Not having any kind of problem like that, but kinda nicely clicking in right now. Chris seems to be, you can say now, all the reinforcements coming up. Because again, I'm gonna be reminding you of that a lot. Considering what kind of army we still keep having here. That's only clicked manually. There's no auto queue here, and you can see that maybe there's actually a bit of a problem for Salska with that. Even though it seems to be that he's actually having a bit more of a problem with resources, you can see especially food. They could be getting some throwing axemen. No, it would be kinda neat, I guess. It would be at least something, but they will be just getting slaughtered anyway. So currently he's created them as a bit of a cannon fodder. Just hoping to survive as long as possible. Okay, consider Batman gonna be there for having probably victory here. Not probably. At this point, I'm thinking fairly clearly a victory for PG Fire, as that's gonna be fairly random market, and now there's gonna be a serious problem in my opinion for Salska, because he's gonna be having probably the gold compromised. No, since the right TC is gonna be taken from him, and it looks to me therefore that Chris is gonna be quite a bit poised to be getting a fourth one. You can see Salska is not able to right now, 80 pop limit, he's not gonna be able to get himself even into something like Ragnarok. I'm guessing it's gonna be probably Rack from him. I'm not sure if in the olden times people are going for too much there, so basically classic Ragnarok power was recognized quite strongly. And as for Chris, he's going to be right about now, not really going anywhere either. Just it seems like that everybody, and both rather, not everybody, two players here are going to be there for committing to currently the classical age and the heroic age right now. Okay, so that's a cleanup. How much does know? What does he know about the golds? He knows about the two here to the right. He has no idea about the bottom of the map, but he's gonna be probably surmising there's nothing. So he's gonna be having the clue that control of the right side is gonna be somewhat legit and important. Kinda liking how he's actually vault in, but here he isn't. Kinda classic, I guess. And he's also right now cutting through the wood line there. So that's gonna be possible opening from Salska, who's already apparently working on opening this up. Yeah, there's the ram. He's already actually having some hill forts prepared and ready. With heavy Ulfinos, that's gonna be all copper. And oh, opponent was having a bit more, as we have seen a bit earlier. Already Query. Interesting, he's still only on plow. And we started like in irrigation by this time. We had 21 minutes of the game after all. As they are breaking through. Not too many villages here, and yet again on vanilla they do not have bonus against siege weapons. So therefore they're not gonna be terrible, but they're not gonna be like turbo good against this in the first place. As in the end, as I was worried about Salska's gold to the right, seems like he's gonna be in time with this attack on the other side, and Chris is gonna be also in time with the 4th TC, but much more importantly, already his armada is kinda marching to the left with quite a bit of an orderly, like, in orderly fashion. Which is gonna be of course quite a bit slow all around, but nonetheless, he's gonna be there for losing the TC. Villages apparently already murdered. Try to help, but managed to kill only one ram. So that's gonna be an instant opportunity for Salska to get himself back onto 3 TCs. And much more importantly, Chris is going to be currently actually kept at only 160. So he wasn't even able to utilize the extra pop limit. Huh. Bit curious. But I can definitely see that he's also not anywhere nearby to possible mythical age. Did be also looking at some villages from red, how far he is on the economical upgrades. Still seems to be having the irrigation. He's actually slightly better off. So at least having the farm upgrade. And are we starting with trade already for the players? Apparently we aren't. No, they still do have good 10 minutes on golds. They are having plenty of them, so that shouldn't be a problem, at least so far. But it obviously will be quite a bit prudent to already begin, because the game certainly doesn't seem like that it necessarily has to be decided all that quickly and all that presently. Desperately trying to finish. No, I'm thinking he's gonna be having a bit of a problem with that still. There are a bit too many archers right now prepared from Chris. How many military upgrades do we have? We were actually double bronze a bit earlier, so we are still, but copper shields are there, which are gonna be somewhat useless here against the Norse. Just needs to be careful about the hill fort possibly, and some town center fire a bit later. But currently the town center is to be shouldn't be getting finished rather. With all the army that we have from Chris right now prepared and present, it shouldn't be entirely too likely. Gonna be really having to remove the text for the next time, because I'm not entirely playing, of course. I'm just basically casting for the community, so therefore these texts can be removed from the language file. And there is a possibility. Actually, kind of thinking that maybe I did, so maybe I was reinstalling somewhere. And I just forgot to update it again. Not sure, but nonetheless, we're gonna be therefore living with that, as in the olden times, where such a modding wasn't entirely all that, I guess, widespread, let's say. So heavy Uscaros with all bronze for Salska. So that's kind of like the classic effect that I really appreciate about AoM Mythology lately a lot. And that is the bit of a comeback mechanism if you're gonna be down TCs. That's gonna be, of course, inevitably meaning that the opponent with the advantage will be spending more on army, whereas you are gonna be having better stockpiles, and therefore you should be getting a bit higher on upgrades. And it's exactly what we are right now seeing here, slightly. And yep, that is definitely the legend. And this is two legends fighting. Not the real Chris, but PG Fire, another top legend as well. You didn't have any teeth yet when he was playing. No. How old were you? This is April 2003, this game. So how old were you? I don't... No, on April I was definitely playing. I got Age of Mythology for Christmas. I'm thinking I might have played the demo. I'm not really certain if I did play the demo. But I might have. Legitimately, I can't recall 20 years ago what I was doing. So, that would be just like way too much ask of my memory. It doesn't really work that way. I remember useless nonsenses, but this is something that would be useful, so therefore I don't remember that. Because obviously back then I didn't know where I would be. Oh, you thought this was Rappel? Oh, no, 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 no. These are quite a bit different players. I'm right now trying to remember actually the nationalities of the players. So PG Fire, PG Fire was American, right? And Salska, I would almost want to say that he was a Canadian, but I don't think he was. Maybe somebody is gonna be able to know somewhere. Yeah, okay, Chronic. No problem. I mean, like, there were all kinds of people taking actually old school names. For example, Temista was playing under Spoink some years back. Already like 10 years back, actually, with time flying. But all kinds of people actually taking nicknames. Somewhat a few years ago, there were actually some... Well, who was there? There were some nicknames, old ones, also being used by somebody to troll. That was definitely there. But currently, yeah, gonna be apparently having situation fairly under control for Chris still. So really looking forward to what's gonna be Sask able to do. And he's gonna be going for Tyr. He's not gonna be actually in this position trying to risk Ragnarok. He's probably not liking his chances against all the archers. Even though, how much of a rag he would be having? Sask will be at 50. No, that's... Wow. Jesus Christ, right now I'm actually realizing what's the economy. What the hell? We are at 27 minutes of game time and this is the player's economy. 46 villages for Chris and Salska is at 55. That caught me slightly off guard. No, I have to be kind of smiling at that a bit and maybe even just kind of laughing at 3 TCs. You can see economically we are somewhat similar still. You can see 4,000. This is really good. 3,000 for Salska. And that's of course why they're having such a huge military. Right now it's not like too huge because they are not undertaking too many fights. They're being very careful. But the ratio is also quite a bit evident. I need to be looking into here. Get it going again. With Artemis in, Fimbulwinter cast immediately. So you're gonna be hitting Wolfie's top first now. And you can see right now. He got basically 2 of them at once on this TC. And then he got actually spawned that is unfortunately... No, not entirely useless. You can see he's gonna be taking it and... Wait, what? Nah, they just kinda like randomly moved. But he unfortunately doesn't have an army here to target. As you're gonna be apparently having some... I don't know what. All the way to the right. He's trying to basically utilize right now the rams and the Fimbulwinter. So it's actually fairly clever. At least that one ram in there. Wolf is right now 8 crush damage, so they're not gonna be too terrible against that, but there we go. And we also do have some raid into the left side that you're gonna be having to look at. Some Ulfi and Huskarl, of course, diving under the fortress. Whereas to the right flank, we have seen apparently some champion upgrade onto the archers for Chris, who's gonna be even having Levy, nice. Can't say it now, still the same copper and double bronze. Whereas the champion Huskarls on the other side are gonna be already having iron weapons. No, frankly, in this position, if he's gonna be casting Earthquake into the base, I'm thinking that Salska is dead. Like, so where is he? Where is he for that damn Earthquake? Just like Hippolyta, I don't know. He's being right now probably, maybe not killed, but it's gonna be hard against the Huskarl. Quite possible, but I'm really just gonna missing the cavalryman running into the enemy base and casting Earthquake. That is a winning move right here. Like, without any kind of question whatsoever, because what would Salska do against that? By the way, decent echo for Chris. Salska, on the other hand, not bad either. Wait, what? He's missing a house. Only 120 on 2 TCs. He's gonna be actually getting a third. Whew. Wow, we get an actually earthquake here. I mean, like, on one hand, it's not a terrible idea, because I can see what he's going for. He's going for the blockage of the gold. That's basically, he's gonna at this point play on this being a winning move. That gold is blocked 1, 2, and 3 here as well, and that's gonna be only the starting gold mine. 2000 left potentially for it, who is unfortunately not gonna be in time to get himself the settlement on the left side. But yeah, that was an earthquake with addendums to it that everybody can be making an opinion upon, I guess. But nonetheless, that's the wall hit points. The other relic was the archers. Still hasn't been taken. You can see for the better pierce attack for the archerinos, considering how many Toxotai we have. So something just simply doesn't change. 20 years ago, now, expert players still not taking relics, so who cares, right? Something just simply never change. It's gonna be always the same. No, and we do have currently some upgrades onto Echo further. Apparently we do. Just missing right now flat control. The last upgrade, otherwise there's absolutely everything ready. Frankly, it seems to me that Salska is about to get a TC anyway here now. Heavy hippies out. No, he's kinda starting to fall behind, to be honest, on the upgrades. No, right now he's gonna be finishing Salska. I'm fairly certain that he will. Even though there's an army that are already quite a solid portion of Huskarls. You can say now 19 Huskarls, so, and not entirely too many things. And much more importantly, what's going to be legit are the Frost Giants finally making an appearance. And I'm infinitely disappointed in Chris, aka Fire, in not implementing at least a few Hydras into the fight here. I'm really loving to have some of those here against the Norse. To be absolutely nice. Absolutely nice, but well, after a bit of a fighting, at 30 minutes of game time, we are gonna be back at 3 TCs for Salska, or back. Was he actually like ever at 3 TCs? Yeah, he was for a bit. Okay, and then there was of course the 4, but it didn't entirely last too long. Wondering when he's gonna be able to afford PG Fire to get actually the champion hippies. Otherwise Salska is gonna be having pretty good resources, so now he's still missing that stupid house. Still hasn't realized he's missing it. Okay, that's a decent amount of idols right about now here. Okay, heavy cavalry, iron shields, getting good investments right now going. But is he having right now some army actually clicked in? Yeah, Huskarl's here. But yeah, he just got some myth unit because he instantly got like 15 pop limit out of nowhere. So it was just basically plenty of units at once. With market getting ready, that should be starting. And of course the fortress to block the gold even further. So just gonna confirm in that the earthquake really was, because he thought that blocking the gold is going to be enough. Otherwise there's still plenty of gold here, some idle units. No, and that market, come on, just place it. No, there's a stupid wood line here, but still from about here to this TC that would be rather excellent. As you can see, flat control is ready with all the economical upgrades for Chris. But military-wise, I'm still somewhat of a concern. There's a bit of a concern here for Chris, but nonetheless, he's at least getting up there. And currently, we're gonna be having quite a bit of an equal game, I guess, on our hands after 32 minutes of gameplay. It's also terrible maneuvering by Chris. Because you can see he's kind of leaving the archers to be under the attack of the Huskarls. So what he should have been doing is basically trying to screen them with the Prodromai a bit. So that they can be escaping a bit easier. Oh, even Chimera coming forward. Again, oh, such a waste of the special power here. And nonetheless, he still didn't have a chance all the way to the bottom anyway. So he's gonna be probably getting the recharge in time, I'm assuming. Where is... Oh, well, thank you, actually, from the POV. Alerting us to the fact that there is going to be a bit of a forward build going on here to the right side by Chris. And of course, all the myth units, you are not getting anything for free here. So therefore, everything is properly paid for. Not getting any free buys. And we are going to be therefore getting ourselves even quite a nice Polyphemus fighting power. But it should be probably looking for the first giant to the right. Then actually fighting against the Jarl. That will be slightly better done. No, and looks like the fortress to the right has been finished. And therefore one of the gold mines is also fully blocked in favor of fire. And therefore Salska now is gonna be already having to take the starting gold mine. And that basically gives him a few minutes to get a trade going. So hopefully he will in time. Before that's gonna be fully out. And you can see right now also another gold mine has been depleted for Chris. And he's gonna be down to also effectively almost the last one. There's gonna be still one here to the right. That is fairly healthy, so like he has 6,000 gold. Plus, possibly here, as it seems like the Ulfis are gonna be murdering the interlopers. And in the end, that's actually not the fortress then. Well, he actually was able to stop that Salska. So I guess good job. Probably transformed, I guess, villages into Ulfsaks, I'll be assuming. But otherwise, god powers are gonna be all gone. No, UI is not gonna be working here or vanilla. But nonetheless, the god powers, there's nothing left for the players. So they're gonna be having to simply deal with the game with what they are right now having available on the battlefield. Okay, so champion hippies, we are gonna be therefore having all squad, just missing the conscripts. Even Thracian horses are there, still missing Baccanalia though. Champion Huscarls are gonna be having most of the things as well. But he's gonna be missing. What is the upgrade for the Huscarls? Tyr is having on the Ulfsarks also upgrade. Do we have that? No, we don't. So he's missing a few special upgrades in here. Salska, so he can be potentially getting a bit better. You can see here fort against stables. Now he's gonna trying to maybe encroach from the left, possibly even thinking about blocking the trade somewhat. He's gonna be moving forward for some further aiding. And apparently even Hippospitz might be making an appearance against all the heavy infantry, as he's maybe not trusting his Hippicons anymore. Because they are really expensive, and getting into this fairly cheap Hippospitz might be actually fairly good. That's one hell of a random farm. And TC apparently not repaired all, well, like ever. Sounds a bit curious. We don't have that. But yeah, this gold is still quite a bit legit to be taken under control by the fortress. It's something that could work pretty well. As a bit of a sneak ram. Now with few more of those, he actually could be legitimately taking this down in the end. Now hopefully this is gonna be right now prompting actually Chris to take care of it. We need to be looking at the big engagement on the left side, as the TC is gonna be most probably still standing. He has a chance that it wouldn't be, and back to raiding cavalry. So we're gonna be abandoning Jarls, because you don't exactly see that many myth units here. And simply the raiding cavalry is gonna be a bit cheaper option. A bit more reliable as well, because I'm thinking the 3 versus 2 pop might be also playing a bit of a role here. Because obviously there are still the 3 pop Hippicons for Chris on the other side, which is gonna be somewhat limiting his kind of like maneuverability. Because if you're gonna be in the late game and on pop limit, then basically having a bit more units because of lower pops consumption might be somewhat useful, because you could be sparing a few to go for raiding. Whereas Chris is gonna be probably having to more commit to actual full fights rather than going into some shenanigans, like for example with the stables that he has built in front of Salska's base. That could be quite a bit of a thing here. Now you can see should even making from them units, but he's sending them all the way here into the middle to the battlefield. That's a lot of... No, this is gonna be tough. He needs to be getting a bit more Ulfsarks. Yeah, because there are way too many Prodromai currently in the presence of the cavalry. And that's also why it could be a bit better to therefore not entirely waste resources on the Jarls. Red keeps using... No, maybe it could be simply because he might be used to it from maybe Age of Empires 2, because they are using formations quite a lot. Maybe he's trying to kind of like reset attacking with them, with the units. instead of like stop command, which maybe something like that. So they're gonna be maybe better targeting, not sure. Maybe we can be actually discerning something from that later. So interesting catch that you have Ragnarok's there. As you can see to the right flank therefore. No, just some kind of last militiaman, but it seems like the gold mine is gonna be there for secure, 1500 left. And we probably need to be getting rid of the longhouse because you can see it's in the way of the Ox Caravan. It's gonna be having very good trade with, by the way. It's quite a bit excellent. Whereas on the other side, it's going to be Salska. Yeah, checking out if there's actually something going on here. Where the market is, but unfortunately Chris is having a whole lot shorter trade route in general. It's kind of interesting how they're basically just going for one huge engagement. Instead of just trying to find some different ways to win, basically like almost barely nothing like that going on. For example, right now the Ulfsaks on the left side, that's maybe some kind of sign of it. And why Peltast? I'm thinking it might be actually a mistake. Because you're not entirely having that many of them here. So I'm thinking it might be just simply a misclick. Because otherwise, I mean, like, he's having plenty gold, so I don't think that's going to be that much of a reason for that. But Hypaspis I like. That's something, frankly, that could have been coming already quite a bit earlier. Considering we are at 40 minutes, by the way. We are at 40 minutes of game time. And we still seem to be not entirely anywhere closer to actual resolution. But we have apparently lost the 45 TC to... It really happened. He really did not repair that. He really did not repair it, and some kind of sneaky ram was able to finally pull it down. That's, of course, big mistake currently by Fire. No, and suddenly he's gonna be having an issue with pop limit. You can see only 140 against the 160 from Salska, so it could be possibly quite a good moment for Salska to push through. So let's see if he's gonna be able to somewhat utilize it or not. And we do have right now, no, there's the Berserker Gang. Bravery is the other one. Berserker Gang is up for the Ulfis. But for the Huskarls, they're gonna be having right now the Bravery for them. So the special upgrades are in, just was talking about them a bit earlier. Whereas to the right side, trying to of course block the TC. Shouldn't be entirely too much of a hard job for him, considering there's not all that much of a counterplay. With the gold mine running out, and therefore we can maybe even compare the trade currently. That's fairly low, as you can see for Chris. Donkey Caravanos, how much are we getting? Apparently not much, because they were going to the right. So we don't have entirely that information yet. Whereas on the other side, for Salska, we are going to be having 108. That's a damn good one. Okay, he doesn't have coinage. Coinage is a thing in Vanilla, right, as well. This one might be actually here and there, maybe. Not entirely remember if some upgrades are coming only Titans or not. But I think that most of kind of like the basic upgrades were already in Vanilla. And there's much of like a big change in those, but hopefully gonna be able to help out with that. Just in case. But in general, we are gonna be apparently... I think he's gonna be able to get it in time. Because currently it seems to me that Salska is having some issues breaking through, which is a bit surprising. Gonna be probably having to look at the pop limits again. Because it seems like the army is not entirely that significantly different. There's a bit of a problem with the counter units in favor of Salska, with the Huskars against the archers. And yeah, well, that's stupid ram here to the right. With so many villages, he otherwise would have been already having it most probably. Well, it's been fairly close by, but currently that is not that much of a thing. Yeah, right now I'm thinking he's gonna be able to finish, as finally he's basically facing the opponent in his home, so therefore the military units are gonna be here much faster. And yep, there's the third EC right now retaken, so everything going back to its like equal and level state where it was a bit before. And yeah, I guess it's gonna be therefore time to have a look at the economies, where we exactly stand. Oh well, look at actually where we got. 72 and 86. Salska having a bit more. That's explaining that. Because that's 14 pop limit. That is somewhat of a 2/3 of a TC. So therefore, that's why he's not entirely too much higher up on the army. So otherwise military count is gonna be pretty solid. Can see the ratios, entirely too terrible either currently. Not really that terrifyingly bad. As for the resources, Salska is actually starting to swim in them. And considering that we are gonna be by now, he's missing just the levy and conscription, we are gonna be not able to invest into anything more. It's therefore gonna be time to actually, a bit ironically, go back on the Echo and leave up a bit more for the army. And of course, we're gonna be also having to have a whole lot more on the trade. That currently Salska seems to be quite a bit controlling. Chris, on the other hand, he is going to be also slightly floating. Can say now the wood line, or the wood rather, is a bit higher up currently. And also maybe a bit interesting could be currently the wood on this map. And we are talking about that, because you can see there's, yeah, plenty here to the right, but here in the base, they're already too depleted. This one is gonna be depleted soon as well. So we have like maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes of wood here. Effectively. 1, 2 here, that's fine. Third one was forest fired. He's actually having a lot more wood currently, Chris, still, than Salska. Maybe it could be some problem down the line. But at least currently it looks like that Salska is finally recognizing that it might be a decent idea to finally get rid of this nonsense here. And get it all under control. With, of course, a few militias. That's not gonna be any kind of lasting and big danger. But with the resources that Chris is having, he also shouldn't be, exactly I was going to say, that's the coinage. Confirmation that of course it is present in the vanilla as well. And heavy infantry is a good upgrade. I was just going to say that with the surplus that he has, he should be able to afford the further upgrades also onto the infantry. So it looks like that the game is gonna be yet again at this point ebbing in the different direction, and the opposite one in favor of Chris. In favor of Chris here. Can say it about now. Gonna be definitely having to abandon currently the farmland. Kinda bit curious actually about the villages here. What is this actually supposed to be? He basically just like legitimately forgot, or like what? Maybe he's gonna be sending them somewhere. I'm kinda hoping that it's not any kind of like artifact on the recorded game. It'd be somewhat like a bug. But I don't think so, because so far otherwise everything else is working well, and it would have been quite a bit evident, and of course the commands wouldn't be really working in this way at all. So that's gonna be a new market. And yet again, why is he making the market here? Why is he not starting the market like at least there and going for this TC? It's so strange. Why is he actually playing it that way? But well, nonetheless, apparently he's not entirely interested in some more efficient way of playing this. Can see that right now the fortress done, but seems like it maybe it shouldn't be really falling. There are way too many prodromi here to pull this down, especially considering the extra army that is coming for him presently, as the resources have been depleted for Chris. So apparently he's optimized his economy a bit, and the caravan only 53. So effectively he's having half the gold for the caravans than what Salska is having. That's actually a pretty big problem, because logically it also means you need half the trade caravans, so therefore will be more pop limit for army. But yeah, he's floating way too much. Currently he's floating as if he were getting almost a Titan, if he ever could. No, he's really floating way too much. He needs to be removing wills, but like, I don't know, 15, 20 maybe. And that's what he should be right now trying to do, to be even getting himself a bit more army. But well, are we gonna be introducing maybe back some extra myth units? I really like it. The Chimeras weren't a bad idea for Chris. I really like that a lot. They would be really helpful here. To be of course forcing Salska to go for more of the Frost Giants, as not entirely assuming that Fimbul Winter Wolfies are gonna be too much of a thing. As on vanilla, the myth units are, gets right now the Q clicked in. How many, actually, that's kinda interesting even from the point of view of the resources. Because if you're gonna be having such a massive queue like that, then we are talking about effectively thousands of resources also on the military buildings, right? You can see basically just leaving almost everything somewhat filled. So not only is he having currently 6 here, or 7, or how many, he's having legitimately several thousand extra, so maybe he's having like 10,000 resources extra. This is something that needs to be changing, and he's still getting more and more, whereas Chris is gonna be a whole lot more, like, better managing that. No managing that. Considering that all the military buildings are just gonna stay empty. That's nice efficiency, sure. But on the other side, it also seems like that maybe he is slightly conscious of the fact that his economy is not entirely and necessarily the strongest. Why no tower spam? No, that's kind of like a bit of a question as well, possibly. That is something that could be done as the next option, because obviously at this point if you are having such a somewhat stalemate, then it is an extra population limit. And with the resources that they have, they will be able to afford it very easily. And theoretically it might be slightly easier for Chris, because he wouldn't be having to take soldiers off the fight. At the same time, currently Salska, he will be probably building it fairly quickly, with, for example, the Huscarls, and without too much of a serious damage. But yeah, towers would be also quite a good idea. Oh, this is neither Euros. This is from 2003. This is an old game from ESO. From the proper multiplayer client, the best one that we had. And the best one that Age of Games had as well. No, ESO 2 but for Age of Empires 3 was also pretty good. Evolution on the first one. This is from April 2003, played half a year after the game's release. On 30th October 2002. Yep, this is a record from the olden times. And well, VinaCIS, top expert back then. Chris, this is not the Chris, this is PG Fire, just gonna like taking his nickname that used to be a thing, same as it kinda is still a bit of a thing. So PG Fire and Salska. PG Fire, he was... Fire won the first World Cyber Games, right? I think that Fire won the first ones. I did the first ones or the second ones. Or wait a second, there were one actually. Age of Empires 3 was having 2 World Cyber Games. 2005 and 6. No. 7 and 8. Yeah, 7 and 8. And Age of Mythology I think is having there for either once or twice. I mean, Bit of Phoenix maybe only once. And Fire was I think in the win, that was the time of sets. Back then, if you remember the games there, I'm not sure if they're the recorded games of that. But there is a YouTube video definitely with proper like, I don't know, 280p quality from 2003 or whatever. I don't know. It's more not sure when the VCG was. Or WCG. No, but here, we apparently haven't entirely moved anywhere too much forward. We're just gonna apparently defend it for Chris, whereas to the right side, Salska is gonna be able... Ah, tooth arrows have been finally taken. Took only 48 minutes to get the relic, nice. But at least he picks it up. It's not gonna be leaving it there for the whole game, that's kinda nice, I guess. But with the fortress gone, it looks to me that Salska might be having good opportunity to potentially revisit the town center again. By the way, missing architects. How is it, by the way, for Salska then? Oh, he doesn't have even masons, really? He doesn't. Doesn't even have masons. That's something that might be a bit of a problem down the line. No, he does have already bravery. Some kind of raiding would be definitely quite prudent, but they so far playing mostly kind of like big army against big army. So already something that we mentioned even in Classical Age half an hour ago, that they should be just kind of peeling off a few of the units to go for more raids. Currently they are just kind of like barely doing that. But it seems like that they are slightly and slowly warming up to the idea. We see that a bit more and more, especially by Salska. His attempts to go for Chris's left flank. No, basically both flanks somewhat at once. Yeah, that's gonna be it. But now therefore, just do we have therefore the levy? No, we don't. Seems like I completely forgot about it, Salska. Let's switch into his... How many resources is he going to be having? So I'm gonna be guessing that like at least 10,000 on account. Well, I'll be wrong. He actually did manage to rationalize his economy slightly. Unless he's having the 10,000 resources in clicked units. That also could be a thing. Okay, everything apparently back. So this is gonna be resulting into Salska having to fall back again. But he's gonna be having a few of the dudes on the trade on the left, which is gonna be of course made a whole lot easier by the fact that the fortress is gone. So that's something that Chris probably should be focusing on a bit more. And also interesting is how many resources we have in. And also since we have in so much favor in fighting all the time, I'm really a bit disappointed that we don't see more myth units. Because even with the higher cost on vanilla than they have in Titans, at this point he can afford it, and it would be still kind of nice disruption. He's having an option for Frost Giants, Wolfies, or no, Valkyries. Ah, well, in the end, actually, why not as well? They are a bit interesting still with hit points and damage. But whatever the case, against right now Champion Raiders are going to be currently... By the way, Thundering Hooves... Is that already with Valkyries? I can't be checking into the tech tree, unfortunately, because my UI is not working here on the Hypers UI on vanilla. So I'm trying to remember if it's in original game as well or not. It's right now quite a nice raiding on the trade finally. But there is something, if it is possible, obviously that's something that's significantly missing from the raiding cavalry in there. But this is gonna be fairly important, not entirely something to kill Salska immediately. Because for obvious reasons, he is having plenty resources to still survive with. Another single Hetairoy on the map. No, you have to be having Fortress for that on vanilla. So that's why they are not a thing. They are not made from stable in the original game. So that's a bit of a complication, and why you don't see them exactly all that often. And also why it was a bit more complicated, of course, with Myrmidons back then. And everything along those lines. But well, with the TC gone, and actually the main one, that's a bit of a maybe surprising development. Currently therefore Salska is going to be finally slightly breaking through with a bit of a surprise attack. But yeah, well, the trade getting somewhat demolished might be, maybe in a few minutes, actually hurting him. Can right now market one of them gone, second is still here. Not sure if he hasn't maybe noticed that, as you do have at least Champion Hippaspis as well, which is nice. Still not having any Bacchanalia, by the way. That's also gonna be right now ready. Probably to retake it, it looks like. Even though there's a... that ram... Oh, he actually probably misclicked onto farm. And right now he's not gonna be able to get through TC. If he didn't misclick that ram, he would have been able to keep it actually down a bit longer. But well, nonetheless, it's finished. Still missing the Architects. There's something therefore that should be coming for Chris. But looks like that also the towers are going to be apparently a bit of a forgotten and forbidden fruit for him and for his base to defend with. Okay, he actually switched the trade this one into... Okay, he's going for a no, that's not a diagonal too much. But he's gonna be having kind of stupid path in here because unfortunately there's a bit of a wall in a way, but he's gonna be able to fix it, it looks like. But that's effectively just an equivalent. Like, he can be going from the right or to the top. That's actually a really excellent map currently for Salska. No, not currently. From the very start, we can identify that the map is having some pluses, some minuses. Because at the very start, he was having problem with food, for those of you who weren't here. Because half of his hunts spawned off the map, so he was having like 2 Aurochs and 2 Caribous less than his opponent. Something along those lines it was. And he was also having all the gold mines to the right, away from the TCs, as opposed to Chris, who was having slightly more favorable position in general. You can see at least gonna be nice to be seeing the Frost Giant here. Is he having some more clicked in? Yes, he does. You can see he's gonna be having already 3 clicked, but the problem will be that he's gonna be having plenty of army clicked in also all the other buildings. Can see right about now 8 raiders, for example, here. Yeah, he's having thousands of resources here. 7 raiders. That's thousands of resources in the military buildings right about now that he has. So he really should be removing a piece of the economy. Again. Or again, simply finally, I guess. Can I lose my thread? Oh, yeah, right, with the myth units. And therefore, because the myth units are high pop, then they're gonna be the last to be made, and it's gonna be hard to actually get them into the battlefield unless you will be having good control of all your military buildings. Which, frankly, at this stage of the game is gonna be quite a bit difficult. Because you just need to be clicking everything manually, of course, no auto queues. So it's really a whole lot harder to control it all. But at least seeing them here, so if he's gonna be losing a few more units at once, then he's gonna be having some chance on getting even a bit more myth into the fight. But okay, so let's gonna maybe have a look at the villages currently. where we stand. Apparently not too high still. Can say it now, 64 currently for Salska. We really do have... Wait, what? We having 35 villages for Chris right now. Really? 64 currently for Salska. Okay, let's see if it's maybe somewhat true. It's like 10, 15... It actually will be true. That's actually really gonna be true that he's having like 35 villages right now, Chris. Salska with a 60, that seems to be somewhat, I guess, manageable number as well. He's gonna be currently having... Okay, let's switch into Salska. That's good. Yeah, well, that's gonna be, of course, old school Age of Empires 2 players playing Age of Mythology, so it's like 20. Caravans. Yeah, he's gonna be having actually that kind of economy as well. So it will be apparently true that they really do have like 30 versus 60. So that's why having, of course, the huge armies that you see here all the time. And yep, these are the old schoolers. Just this is not Chris. This is PG Fire. Because this is not I am Chris, this is Lem Chris. There, from what I have found in one of the topics, they just basically, as soon as the game launched, they trolled Chris and they took his accounts. With I am Chris taken by Grunt and Lem Chris, this one, taken by PG Fire. So that was a bit of a thing back then, and of course, even today. So I'm not entirely certain what actually account Chris exactly had. But I guess some kind of different variant and variation on his nickname. But it doesn't change anything that we do have top level experts of the olden times right now playing here. Okay, so we apparently have just moved back to where we have fought about maybe 40 minutes ago. And that's gonna be what? Just a random archer. Nothing really too major here. But actually with that low economy that Chris is having, it's fairly impressive that he's able to still keep everything going. Let's not see how many he has in the buildings. Okay, 2 million prodromi, some hypaspists, some random archers forgotten here. By the way, this has been finally cleaned up, all those idle villages, so I guess that's nice. And the markets, they're just kind of like completely confusing me. Why he's not having them here, for example. Going through the mountain, sure, a bit annoying, but nonetheless, always going to be a bit better. There were all kinds of like fake names. I think that Salska has been lately utilized by somebody in the community, but that's all fakes. That obviously won't be the real ones. On Twitch? I kinda doubt that it will be a real one. Like, what kind of, like a Twitch handle? It's probably gonna be somebody trolling as well. And in viewers? I don't know. Haven't seen any kind of interactions. And there are all kinds of troll accounts as well from people in the community, so really tough to say. Maybe it is. Maybe it is somebody reminiscing, or the Salska and whatnot reminiscing all the olden times. Could be, but I wouldn't put too much of an extreme stock into it, frankly. Way more likely there's gonna be some trolling going on. No, and frankly, with how the battle is so far going, I'm thinking that we are actually inevitably heading into even maybe wood starve situation. And we are gonna be reaching 1 hour of game time. And frankly, we haven't entirely moved anywhere all that much. In kind of like a development of the game. Okay, apparently trying to build another military academy somewhere nearby. And is there gonna be some attempt by Chris maybe to run into the trade? So far he hasn't entirely done so. I guess he's probably a bit happy that the game is going as well as it is. Considering what kind of struggles he was having just a moment ago. By the way, quite nice score, 25,000 against 26,000 in favor of Salska. What is the Ox Caravan doing here? That's a completely random spot for it to be. Like they maybe did have some movement through the midst a bit earlier, but nonetheless that seems to be maybe some kind of mistaken selection. Probably not anything entirely all that further. As you can see, Theseus properly fighting against the Frost Giant. And that also, therefore, could be useful to be having some maybe further upgrades even on there. But do we have finally the levy, for example, for it? Legendary Jarl. No, we don't. He's still just basically completely ignoring that. Maybe that could be right now the problem for him and why he's not able to push through in situations where it looks like that he's actually close, because he's taking a bit longer before he gets the new units into the fight, even though he's having plenty of military building all around. As you're already moving, talking about the wood lines, you can see already moving even into effectively Chris's territory. So this one is gonna be almost gone. This one is also almost gone. We're gonna be having 1, 2. It's gonna be all right now taken by blue. Few trees here, nothing there. Some trees there and here. Now thinking you have been about maybe 15 minutes of trees at the max. And then it's gonna be actually really curious what's going to happen, because you're gonna be down effectively only 2 gold. And that means myth units, right? You're gonna be able to get chimeras from one side, from the other you're gonna be able to get some frost giants, but theoretically it might be a bit easier for the Greek, because he's not gonna be reliant on the favor on fighting. So in that myth fight he should be having some kind of edge, in my opinion. But at that point, yeah, it's just gonna be kind of like a full switch, basically into even trade, possibly just having a few farms and that's it. Won't be able to gather anything else. No, I'm a little bit curious to see what happens, because so far it feels to me we're actually gonna be able to get into that kind of like part of the game. Seems and feels very much likely currently. Some kind of side build somewhere. Doesn't seem so. Seem the right about now really fully committing into this big fight. I really just kind of trying to all the time think what is going through their heads, as in basically just like what they are thinking they're gonna be able to get in the big fights, because we are already for an hour having basically the same result between them, and they are still trying to effectively do the same. They tried a few kind of like ratings and whatnot, but are they kind of thinking that it just basically is not enough of a difference and it's therefore not worthwhile to go for even more? Because obviously in the stalemate late games the point is you need to stop the trade, right? That's the victory condition. Just like not lose necessarily big in some kind of big time the main battlefield. Even just you can be giving it up for a bit. But if you're gonna be able to get rid of the enemy trade, then effectively in a moment you are gonna be able to overpower him even on the main battlefield, even though it's gonna be possibly costlier. But your economy is simply gonna be able to carry. You are gonna be able to be carried by that. You can say now 46 pop limit for Chris. I'll be lucky, maybe really just some Chimera extra. He seems to be still fully focused on army, just from the normal military buildings. You can see some just combination of everything that he can get. And it's really curious how they are spread out, right? You're gonna be having, for example, plenty units here, but only 2 here, 1 there, 1 here. Because we'll be maybe thinking that he's gonna be selecting basically all the buildings and spreading it out in between all of them. But apparently that's not really how it happens. So I guess maybe he's having some groups of military buildings on some kind of control key and control number and basically selecting those, not sure. Maybe that is how it works. We have apparently reached already 1 hour of game time, and well, we are definitely not getting anywhere closer just yet to actually a resolution of it all. Seems like gonna be in. That's a bit unlucky, but at least he's getting the militias out of it, right? So that was a very expensive way to build, to get himself 6 units above pop limit. That is actually frankly something that might be also of a somewhat interest, if he would be willing to really use all the wood on that, because currently the wood, no, they might be realizing that there could be some slight issue with it. And why no myth units? No, because is he still having that clicked in or not? No, he had that, doesn't seem to be having entirely too much of a favor currently, even though that should be not entirely too much of a big problem. Gold is there as well for the frost giants. Just kind can see right now that's one actually clicked in. So he is introducing them in here and there, but as I mentioned a bit earlier, it tends to be a bit harder to actually get them into the battlefield because of the higher pop cost. But yeah, I'm kind of still also thinking that it would be a decent plan to be introducing them into the fight a bit more commonly. From both sides, by the way. There's a new one. You can see it's a bit dropping on the pop limit, Salska. It's only 145. Looks like gonna be getting some maybe progress from Fire, as he's gonna be trying to finally put a complete stop to this trade. But the problem is there's another trade from the left, and I'm not entirely certain if Chris is all that well aware of that. Oh man, we have a problem. We have a problem, Houston. We have a bit of a problem here, and apparently they're gonna be giving up fairly early and soon here. Yeah, the pathfinding is no, not like the complete best in Age of Mythology. Let's put it that way. You can be having some issues like that. But well, whatever the case. Talking about the myth units, you came in the right time, Rush. Apparently he heard you 20 years back. Or kind of 19 and a half. 19 and a half years back he heard you. And finally the Hydra, it's gonna be fairly good if he can be getting rid of the Frost Giant, and therefore limiting right about now the special power. They're gonna be really good because they can be serving as a damn nice even siege weapon. It looks like we're getting into a bit of a problematic situation and position for Salska, but he's actually trying to get out of it also with raiders, and that's maybe why he's getting pushed through, because he doesn't have all the commitment to the big fight. But obviously right now this is kind of like the correct way right now play this and try to get victory. With Chris having 82 at least, he's actually increased his gold income. That's nice. As he's moving right now on the bit of a diagonal. But on the other side, it's gonna be still about like 100 plus, if I'm not mistaken. Seems like the DS fixed it. It needs to be getting rid of the last piece of the wall. 113 for Salska. Yeah, he's having much more efficiency right now on his trade-in. Okay, is he already making new ones? As far as the military building, because he definitely has to. Currently you can see 150 pop limit, he's also missing a house, so I guess it was maybe somewhere in between all of these. Okay, a bit of the wood line here, taking over the farms, because why not, doesn't have to be there for paying further wood for those. As to the top, it seems like it's currently Chris hasn't entirely noticed at all this is going on. Yeah, he has no clue. Like right now, really the lumber camps from AOC. Can see right now replacing that. This is something that today's players need to be learning, because it really does make a difference even in Age of Mythology. So learn that, replacing storehouses if you can. And the relic is wall hit points. That's Trojan Gate Hinge. So irrelevant. Nothing important. The other relic that is for archer damage is already taken. You can see right now they have that. And they have also Conscription, Shafts of Plague, Burning Pitch. Or, yeah, Burning Pitch. And apparently even a second Hydra. No, this is looking really nice currently for Chris. Let's see if he's gonna be there for able to finally carry it home after an hour of game time. But seems like that finally Chris noticed there's some kind of nonsense going on in his trade. Can say now, not entirely floating too much Salska. Seems like he has really quite a bit improved the efficiency of his eco. Same as Chris, but he was going from the opposite direction. He was having like 30 villages, so he probably needed to be getting a bit higher. So maybe have a look where we are currently. 71 for Salska. And after a bit of raiding, can say now that's the trade getting killed. And it's going to be there for 40 for Chris. 40 villages in the late game. And it's more than enough for him. Way more than just enough. No, I'm really thinking you're gonna be needing more of the Frost Giants here for Salska. He's having those clicked in, yes he does, but he doesn't have the pop limit currently, unfortunately. And it seems like the army from Salska is entering the enemy base, and that's gonna be apparently forcing Chris to just instantly retreat. No, I don't know actually. Because I'm thinking he will be able to take down the TC quite a bit easily here as well. He's gonna be inevitably late here, in my opinion. By the way, still not even Masons for Salska. And Chris still missing the Architects, so they are still missing some important upgrades. Okay, so that's gonna be... Yeah, I'm thinking it was maybe a bit of a tactical mistake in there. On the other hand, he probably thought he would be also losing the trade. And from that point of view, I can probably actually get behind that. That might have been a threat. That could have been a bit more serious. Or maybe you could have just kind of left the Hydras through south. And dealing with the TC. It also could have been more than enough. As you can see it now, a few Helepoli. And that's a very good fortress. We'll be there right now, encroaching a bit closer to the enemy base. No, and it seems like you're gonna be apparently therefore able to force Salska again away. That huge clump of the trade. Hey, what? Why are they actually kinda like this way? Was it natural or did he actually send them there? Huh. Bit weird, but whatever the case. That's also kind of like the problem with the stance of the caravans, right? That's something that has been patched in the balance patches on Woobly and also on EE, of course, as well. That they basically originally tended to be in defensive posture, if I'm not mistaken, and therefore that resulted in them kind of like randomly stopping work in that way, and they were basically just like encountering some problems. As if you're gonna be going for them and switching them into aggressive stance, they're gonna be a lot less likely to actually face that problem and stop randomly like that. So that's not entirely certain if maybe already back then it was figured out. Probably not. At least you can see here the players certainly didn't have that switched over. As the woodline is running out, this one is still fairly healthy, but it's gonna be one of the last ones because otherwise there's like absolutely nothing else. Just a few remaining trees across the game spread out, and no, that's going to be it. So I think we're having really about 10 minutes of wood, and then it's gonna be just a completely different game. Because in Age of Mythology, having a game without any wood line, that is quite a bit of a rarity to actually get that deep. This is slightly starting to remind me of another game that we streamed. By the way, that was also Ghostly, coincidentally, that I already do have on YouTube, and that was... I'm trying to remember the name. I think it was Arrow. It was, I think it was Arrow. Either Arrow or Elmo. I think it Arrow. At this point I don't recall who he was playing against, and that was about like a 2-hour game. I made it on YouTube if you want to be also enjoying that. But here, we are maybe not looking actually at exactly that incredibly long game. Looking where Chris currently is. He seems to be in a somewhat of a decent position maybe to possibly end it. But yeah, well, we have already seen that and thought that a few times before, and it seems like that we actually aren't all that much closer to anything like that at all. Still impatiently missing, and there are the Thundering Hoofs. He did manage to get them after an hour of game time. So this is kind of like funny that basically I just like question myself all the time if the upgrades were in vanilla or not, because I just don't see them in hour of game time. And it's simply because the players just didn't have them researched and they just like forgot about those or some such. It's kind of like way too consumed on and with micro in their fights. So therefore we're still gonna be missing the Bacchanalia therefore for Chris for the 5% extra HP. No, it doesn't seem like too much, but this every little bit is gonna be counting. As you're gonna be looking at, for example, the Prodromos 200 HP, and if you're gonna be getting 5% extra, and it's going to be like, what, I don't know, 10 hit points, somewhat along those lines. It could be actually enough of surviving, maybe some extra hits somewhere, and it could be already having some actual impact on the fights. We can only see, for example, Prodromos was trying to find some cavalry instead of fighting against that. And it seems like it's not entirely that much of a thing. And it was what here? Ah, just some kind of random Huscarl. Seems like he was maybe raiding around. But nothing too legit. And nothing too extremely important. As he's gonna be wobbling forward, but unfortunately exactly at a time where actually Salska is having some level of an edge. And a bit curious is that he's actually so much high on food and he's missing so much gold. Considering how actually effective trade he has and how many caravans he has in general, I'd be maybe not necessarily expecting that to be a thing. Most probably not. Let's switch maybe right about now into Chris's point of view, who currently 127 pop limit. Damn, somebody is in a bit of a crisis here. And like a serious one. And if he's gonna be in such a crisis, then maybe the myth units would be exactly the answer. He obviously does have a bit of a problem. Right now he could theoretically get himself some centaurs. He does have plenty of wood, but currently he was selling wood for gold. No, he better be careful about that. Considering what we've mentioned a few times already. And there could be certain issues with that resource very soon. But I guess maybe he's not entirely thinking about that. Hoping to actually get there in the first place into such a position. So I guess that's making somewhat of a sense. But it's gonna be also a bit of an interesting respite here. That's gonna be working pretty well for Chris. Because obviously Salska, no, he wants to be apparently rebuilding the right flank. Maybe, I mean like maybe. It's kinda going to say that maybe he wants to be securing himself even the secondary trade route. Because the first one apparently is already gonna be undergoing heavy walling with, fortunately, whole left there. It's gonna be definitely passable. Okay, blocking the path in here. I'm really thinking if he's gonna be blocking the path in also for the caravans possibly. So that they are gonna be just like avoiding possible weird trade routes around. I don't think there was too much of a problem with that lately. He has cleaned most of it up already. So he probably should be quite a bit fine with that. Okay, that's gonna be clean up because he's unfortunately a bit too far away currently, Chris. He should be going without the Hydra. It's gonna be slowing it down all. 4 versus 430 with the Hypaspace. It's gonna be a bit faster, but no, apparently it's not the Hydra. It's even the Toxotai being slow. So therefore another fortress right now gonna be gone, and no. How about sending a few Huskarls through arches? I'll be liking that quite a lot from Salska. He's gonna be having insanely high military score. And kind of like the military numbers overall. You can see even on the score 32,000 against 34,000. And based on that, we should be kind of seeing that Salska is maybe more of a favorite. But I guess it's gonna be because of the better trade. And possibly because he's also getting more expensive units. Once the Urfsaks are not entirely that expensive. So maybe it's gonna be at least part of it. With Hydra already growing the second head. Also, by the way, no upgrades onto the portable RAM. I'm thinking. Doesn't have the upgrades on that either. That's also something that could be possibly introduced further. Okay, is he right now targeting the Frost Giant against the Hydra? Now, it actually feels to me that maybe he is, but unfortunately there's a blockage in the path, and he's therefore not able to get there in time. And she's gonna be already murdered, which at this point with all the hill forts here, it's gonna be quite a bit of an easy spot to defend for Salska, therefore forcing Chris yet again back. But you can see right now 128 pop limit, and he's still having actually fairly solid army, somewhat similar to the opponent, so there's gonna be really plenty more economy going on for him. Yeah, so you're gonna be almost done, you can see right now with the wood lines. Yep, this one is almost finished, and he's gonna be having the last remaining trees there. All the way here to the bottom, it's almost done. So yep, we are definitely reaching by 1 minute or 1 hour of game time and 20 minutes. We are going to be done with all the woods, and then it's gonna be a completely different game, because it's gonna be meaning hard time for the archers for Chris, whose cars as well are gonna be complicated for Salska. So you're gonna be having more cavalry, more normal infantry. It's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna be both reacting to all of it. No, but seems like Salska is again right now gonna be stockpiling a bit, because he's obviously fighting only against the fortress, and therefore he's not suffering too many high losses or any kind of losses whatsoever. Whereas Chris on the other side, he's actually managing to find himself also in a position of surplus. This is maybe slightly surprising, with 1100 gold extra. But currently I'm thinking he's gonna be probably having more military because of the lower echo, right? No, he has at least improved with the trade, it looks like. He's having about 53 against 68, which is still somewhat of a close to TC. 15 pop limit, that's not entirely too bad. You can say now on the military units, it's gonna be as sheer numbers. So unfortunately on the pop limit, we can't entirely appreciate it, but we approximately know what's going on in there and how. And whatnot, of course, right now a bit of assistance also by all the militiamen. He's still right now reaching over the pop limit. Like in the random farms here. Obviously, it would have been better to be positioned somewhere to the south, but I'm also slightly thinking that maybe he's not entirely wanting to bother with that. There need to be, of course, still a bit more resources right now for him to be utilized. And he's having the Rhyme finally upgraded into Thin Frost Giant. So we are getting all of that. It should have been here a whole lot earlier. So right now just desperately waiting for the damn Bacchanale if it's gonna be also made and upgraded by Chris. Yes, on the other side we are still not having the levy. So still it's gonna be taking a bit longer than it necessarily needs to be to get more units on the battlefield and new ones. Economically we have had everything, right? There wasn't anything missing. No, not really. Few farms, but empty. He apparently doesn't seem to be deemed to need them, with nothing on the other side either missing. And yep, shared woods. It's just kind of like the missing wood line is gonna be fairly curious because of the siege weapons. Maybe for those it's gonna be a bit more influential. It's gonna be therefore having to therefore at some kind of interval spend the gold to buy the new wood. No, but Hippolyta, you have a bit of a different work here. She seems to be fighting against the Ulfsak instead of targeting right now the Frost Giant. As maybe though Theseus is trying to find him. He's kinda diligently traveling around. It seems like he may be auto-targeted against the Jarl as well. Doesn't seem like it. Maybe it was therefore that much of a conscious decision, or the conscious decision, sorry, to go after the Giant. And for actually quite a bit of a long time, we haven't seen any kind of side attack by either side. Definitely not by Chris. Yes, the last one was to effectively completely block the right trade route with some of the fortresses. Otherwise, he doesn't entirely have that much of a adventurous mood to, for example, visit the left trade route. Because I don't think he actually ever even saw it, right? Well, right now he did. He kinda did manage to send some random unit in there. But so far he's not entirely all that interested. And hey, mentioning that he will be. Can say now there are some Helepoli coming in. Same as, of course, we're gonna be having a few raiding cavalry guys, or raiding cavalry dude rather, together with Ulfsaks to finally get rid of the woodies from Chris. And just therefore keep a bit more wood for Salska himself. So yeah, that's not entirely that much of a terrible plan. Gonna be having one Ulfi, maybe to save it all, but frankly with only one Ulfsak that will be taking 2 hours before you'll be actually even able to get anything done. There's massive 600 plus hit points. No, that's kind of like a stupid spot for Chris to be fighting at. Next to fortresses, so therefore being shorted quite a bit. And you can see it's getting quite a bit actually evident that Salska is able to overpower him because of that. And also it seems like that Atalanta is completely right now with Polyphemus ignoring that there was that Frost Giant. That's something that is definitely right now missing from the gameplay, that we don't see that much of a focus of the heroes onto the myth units. But I kinda slightly do wonder that after such an intense game, again, with having to click all the units and everything because this is vanilla, then it has to be quite a bit mentally exhausting. I'm not sure how many maybe games even they had before this, as they are at 1 hour, 18 minutes and 45 seconds. Okay, not entirely as much of a sneaky Helepolis, but seems like it might be working. So apparently seem to be a bit spreading also the fight. No, and finally, we're gonna be resuming the raiding onto the trade of Chris, aka PG Fire. Whereas on the left side we have apparently therefore not dealt with the Helepoli in the end, but with all the markets gone, then that's gonna be potentially a bit of a Kind of like outage in the supplies. It's not entirely too great for Salska. So maybe have a look if it's a real problem, because currently for Chris, it doesn't seem like that his economy is gonna be on some kind of collapse. Whereas Salska, yeah, he's not going to be either. You can see 69 favor even there, about thousands and thousands of resources, so he can be affording right now to rebuild the market and take a bit more time in all of that. And with all of that as well. So still nothing new here. Just like periodically going to be checking if there's maybe some kind of difference. Just kind of like the biggest novelty is about those 10-15 minutes ago. The Thundering Hooves massively improving the Jarls and the Raiders. So that could possibly be quite a bit of a game changer. So far it doesn't seem like that it actually has shown itself and it's shown its teeth too much. And if you Prodromite right now fix the trade, Huskarl is probably not going to be entirely too dangerous, especially looking at the army nearby that is about to stop him. No, and to the bottom, we have gotten rid of at least one of the hill forts, but nonetheless that's going to be apparently everything that Chris is able to achieve on this run. Nothing really much more there. Looks like that maybe the game is gonna be again flowing in the opposite direction. It's gonna be time therefore for Salska to be taking some initiative. And basically when you look at this, you could be thinking that really the game is quite a bit perfectly balanced. Because this is kinda like the ideal situation. That you're gonna be having all the upgrades late game. And if you're gonna be just basically all the time fighting on like one spot and the second, and it's gonna be moving between those two, then that is pretty much like a perfect balance of the game. And obviously that's only late one, and it doesn't entirely take into account what possibly happened before, and what situation was, or what the situation was somewhere at about maybe 10 minutes of the game. It's already an hour before. Already an hour before that. It's actually kind of interesting how it's completely like constant action. Basically the players do not even take all that much of a breather anywhere. So it's kind of like a relentless fight, just kind of like imagine playing in those games. I actually wonder if you have played some like hour plus game, because we do have of course those uploaded on RTS-Sanctuary, but frankly it's not entirely that common. And like the more common longer games are somewhere about 40 minutes. Those tend to be kind of considered really extremely long currently in the community. Otherwise already anything I think in past 25 minutes is a bit longer in Age of Mythology Titans that we have in the meta now. But well, there are some really long ones in the old school variants of the gameplay. But frankly the one that I was mentioning between Arrow and at this point just can't really recall whom, that I have on YouTube, that wasn't entirely too much of an old game. I think it was played several years back. It wasn't entirely too much deep into the past, especially because it's Arrow, and that's not an old schooler as far as I remember. It's a bit of a newer schooler, let's say. So the trade is gonna be all kinds of complicated still, but he's gonna be at this point just gonna go in for wherever he had the wolf sacks, but he should be obviously then down the line building a new one in a much better position for more efficiency. Because again, it is not linear, and therefore the bigger distance, the more of an increase you're gonna be getting. It's always best to be placing the markets into the furthest possible reach on the map that you can. Okay, seems like you're gonna be right about now, therefore having, exactly as I mentioned, that maybe you don't have breaks. So now they're gonna be having one. Not for too long. You can see already moving back. It looks like maybe they're gonna be taking a bit of a pee break. Some vacation to see the families of those who are still alive. And then, well, you're gonna be resuming the warfare quite inevitably again. 3,500 food for Salska. Plenty of gold for Chris. Gonna be out of wood. It's literally right now having some remainder, some 100 maybe. 130, so about, what is it, 40, 70, 170 wood. Right now left here, otherwise nothing there. Few trees here. One tree in there, in the middle. Another. I mean, like, all of these are gonna be somewhat legit because it's still 150 wood, and all of that is gonna be fairly important. So it's starting to slightly remind me of somebody like the British Isles that had been rather in the past fairly seriously deforested. There used to be way more forest in England and the Great Britain. But if you have to be making so many boats, then you tend to be, of course, then having some kind of effect with that on your environment. Yeah, it's quite a bit clear and for sure. Something curious here to be seen. Just kind of trying to see maybe if there's a kind of micro going on, but I don't think actually that there is anything all that necessarily evident. Seems like it's gonna be mostly like a bit of a free-for-all, so basically whoever gets into battle, yeah, well, take your opponents, and Chimeras are making a comeback. That's going to be quite a nice special attack. Unfortunately, there was also, no, it was like 1 yard, so it wasn't too bad. I was going to say that maybe it's not gonna be like the most efficient way to use this special, but nonetheless, there are still plenty of targets, and I think that she could be quite a bit of a nice game changer here. And of course, the Thin Frost Giant should be focusing on her in full with a special attack, but unfortunately, he wasn't paying attention in there. Only now noticing that she's in. Obviously, it's still a good fight because you do have as a myth unit bonus against other myths. So that was a bit messed up in there by Saska. Did you notice? Did not know this properly, and well, that's certainly not gonna be the reason for why we are right now heading back already. It wasn't without its consequence. That's something for sure. No, and we are already gonna be reaching 1 hour of 30 minutes of the game time. To the left flank. Gonna be having some Forgotten Army here. Not a bad one. Actually could be quite nice raiding party to get into the midst of the enemy base. Okay, there we go. Chimera is gonna be about to unleashing the special attack in very good positions. It's gonna be even a second coming forward, and now the micro is gonna be working finally. So he's gonna be able to stop her, and of course then the Frost Giant is gonna be able to maul her for a proper damage. Again, he does have bonus. Oh, basically myth units are having bonuses against other myth units. So there is a constantly increased attack between those. That was possibly a bit of a waste here to the right flank. But yeah, doesn't seem like you're gonna be really moving anywhere else. It's kinda interesting, basically we have already gone around all the perimeter of the lake, it looks to me. Just each of the parts has seen some serious fighting, and some significant fighting in general. I'm still kind of feeling and seeing and thinking that possibly the game deciding factor is going to be right now and are going to be the myth units. Obviously with the running out of the wood, it's gonna be even more evident because here again Frost Giants gold, Chimeras are gonna be also gold. And then we do have Hydras, which are only food, which is something that also you can be gathering until the ends of the world, since you do have infinite farms. So as long as some farms are standing somewhere, you should be quite fine. To continue with that, with nothing here to the right, you can straighten out the inefficiency, of course, on the 3 lines of of farms. That's also gonna be quite a bit evident and clear. Polyphem is throwing the giant. That ox cart was very random. And that is certain what he was actually sending that there in for. Maybe just kind of like randomly selected units. I'm gonna be assuming that was probably the case. Most possibly so. And by the way, the infantry for blue does have levy or not? Yes, he does have even conscription. So, because you obviously need to be upgrading that for all the military buildings for the Greek, for the archer stable, and also the military academy. And on top of it, of course, possibly fortress, if you would be having any units from there. And that's kind of like a bit of a question. if maybe Myrmidons would be somewhat of an answer here. Because obviously we are not having that many throwing axemen in general. And we're having just the Ulfsaks and cavalry. And some Huskarls here and there. So I think that actually Myrmidons maybe wouldn't be such a terrible choice here. So considering that he does have the fortress, he does have full infantry armor, or kind of like armor upgrades. So that means, no, it's not entirely divided between infantry and others as it is in Age of Empires 2. So I may be liking actually to see that tested. That could be somewhat of a variant. But Myrmidons you will have to be having actually Zeus, and unfortunately we don't have that. So right now just realizing what I'm musing about. Yep, it would be a nice unit, but not entirely in this match, where we are having Poseidon and not the Hetairoi. Would it actually be somewhat of an interesting raiding party against DCs, for example? It depends on the HP. And he still doesn't have Masons. No, that maybe lends a bit more of a credence actually to that idea. Having to deal with quite a lower amount of hit points in general. That could actually somewhat work. That could certainly somewhat work there. Now it seems like it maybe Salska is again gonna be getting a bit closer. Oh, I was going to say it's getting actually closer to maybe breaking through, but in the end he's just kind of like falling back for whatever reason. It's gonna give him a bit of an opportunity for Chris to get a bit more units with again some mistaken pelt dust. Fairly certain that it's always a mistake, because it's not like any kind of reason for the pelt dust at all, because gold currently is not a problem. On the other hand, the wood is going to be, because literally the wood is gone, and that's going to be the result into a lot less Huskarls. You can see even just the Ulfsaks taking the majority of the fighting force here. Whereas on the other side, archers are, frankly, they seem to be also slightly going down. 6,000 foot for Salska and 100 favor. 100 favor there as well. And did he get the coinage? I think he did, right? Based on the speed here. Based on how they're moving, it looks like they did. That he did. With almost no favor for Chris, who is not gathering any here currently. So we won't be seeing any more chimeras or anything else. Or anything else for that matter. No, I don't think you're gonna be getting those fast activation times here. I don't think that's gonna be a thing for the whole game. Which is very strange. Because considering that it's actually freshly after Age of Empires 2. In Age of Empires 2, conscription from the castle is a fairly coveted upgrade. And as soon as you have a castle, very often you're gonna be getting conscription. And it's maybe a bit interesting. They are kind of like somewhat forgetting about that, or they are. Salska is. To be exact and precise. And by the way, blue is gonna be still, yeah, still missing the 5% extra hit points from Bacchanalia. And Salska on the other side, he is yet again going to be having 2 million units clicked in. So there is nothing really new here about that. Seems like he's gonna be going for just a limited amount of Jarls. Seems to be a whole lot more wanting to rely upon the raiders. And therefore investing on the expensive units anymore. Managed to scrape off right now the bottom of the barrel, at least some wood for the Archerinos. Kinda seems like basically the game is flowing in basically the advantages for the defender. So as soon as you get into one side, then it's gonna be kicking in that the units are gonna be in the battlefield a bit faster for the defender, and therefore he's able to in the end overpower the attacker. Again, that basically speaks very highly about like the general balance of the game. Sure, I mean like this game wasn't entirely played up to today's meta and kind of like experience and knowledge of the game. Okay, it's quite a bit clear, and we have seen that and commented upon that a bit earlier. But still, in kind of like a general idea and gameplay, For example, here in the late game, it's quite a bit evident that things are going somewhat okay in that direction. So therefore there's not necessarily anybody somewhat strongly ahead. No, frankly Vanilla was a bit better balanced. Oh, somewhat significantly better balanced than Titans. Titans certainly quite a bit challenged. Like the level of the game, the levelness, if you can even say that, or equality of the game itself. As it seems like to the left side we haven't entirely rebuilt the walls. Maybe that's something that really could be a good idea to do. Just to at least have a bit more time to notice if somebody's gonna be trying to break through into your base. It's something that could help. And wow, we get in Lone Wanderer at 1 hour 33. Okay. Not bad. Not bad at all, considering actually how long we are having right now the Ulfis. I mean, like, he was quite fine without that speed, so maybe now it's gonna be a bit more of an opportunity and motivation for him to raid, possibly. Who knows, maybe. Maybe it could be a bit of a thing. I'll need to be actually looking how many villages are praying where, because it seemed like that in his home temple he wasn't really praying that seriously much a bit earlier. Currently just gonna be heading to the south, and therefore again units are gonna be here a bit faster, so let's see if maybe it's gonna be the same as he mentioned earlier. Therefore right now it's gonna be time for Salska to be getting a bit ahead, and it really seems to be exactly that problem. Basically just not able to break through in general, which basically just means that they should be trying to find some other venues to attack and some other things to do. And right now I wanted to be looking at something I just instantly forgot. Oh right, how many villages are praying? So he's having 2 here because he needs to be taking care of the favor. Still also because of the heroes, to be able to even afford those. Maybe even because of the fortresses here and there. That is also somewhat of a possibility, and I think that might be important. But so far it looks like he's actually heavily kind of focusing on Polyphemus, who seems to be working pretty well. Just obviously it would be nicer if he could be more properly sending him across the battlefield against the other Thin Frost Giant, because otherwise of course these units are gonna be having to deal with him on their own, which they would be able to do. Currently it looks like the battle is somewhat slightly better going for Chris, and that maybe actually could be something a bit new, because obviously we are not too close to the military buildings, so therefore maybe Chris is about to be possibly breaking through. Maybe. Okay, it's gonna be right now a house gone. It's actually a fairly sneaky idea. He unfortunately doesn't have that many houses here to destroy in such an easy manner. So therefore I'm thinking that Chris is not going to be entirely overwhelming Salska that quickly. But yeah, this game is quite a bit of a massacre. Probably gonna be in a moment looking at the overall military statistics in the game. Because for example the units killed and units lost, they are gonna be at this point quite a bit insane. Probably might be even something like 1500, 2000 possibly, because they're just like constantly fighting. So they are constant losses. Looked for a moment that maybe there's gonna be a bit of an edge for Chris, but I'm thinking that it's not gonna be working out in the end. Because for example we have seen just like immediate charge of about 4 units into the fight when they basically got made from their appropriate establishments. You can see he's having actually some, oh well, sneakily hidden somewhat long houses. A bit further away from him, but nonetheless a bit interesting position, because otherwise you could be thinking it might be better simply to be utilizing all of those next to the battlefield here. Again, gonna be having hundreds of resources clicked into military buildings. And Gandalf, no, apparently it is quite a bit long, it looks like. Because it already several times looked like that maybe we are going to be getting into finally some massive breakthrough. Right, now it looks like it maybe Chris could be able to do so. Okay, fire. That's still quite a bit tough to say if it's going to be finally enough, because we have already had Salska at 2 TCs against 3, even 4 TCs for a bit. and it still wasn't actually enough in the game. But apparently through all the streaming it's getting a bit hot here. Computer of course working as quite a nice heat body, or like heat in. Wasn't that much of a good translation from Czech. Yeah, I attempted to do there. And yeah, well, that's therefore see how much hotter it's gonna be also getting still on the Ghost Lake here. So Polyphemus, I'm looking for the Frost Giants here. I think he's looking for the other one, he's looking for the bottom one here. And unfortunately he hasn't noticed that he's having another customer here. Right now he did. Right before he gets killed, he's gonna be at least throwing him away for some extra massive damage. Just what's kinda cool about this game from like a caster perspective is that you don't have to be paying attention to the minimap because there's nothing going on. It's like legit one big battle and that's all that is happening. So I just don't have to be too much worried about missing anything else elsewhere. But I'm kinda hoping that there's going to be something still, because that's of course gonna be the spice. For right now, this is not even a late game, this is kinda like a post-late game, even. With almost all the possible upgrades, but still here and there, you get some new one, like the Lone Wanderer 5 minutes ago. Maybe even the Levy is gonna be... I'm gonna be wishing and crossing all my fingers that there's gonna be the upgrade somewhere before the game is gonna be over. Same for example for Bacchanalia, for Chris. Ah, look at that. Nice. 5% extra HP for all the guys. So only 1 hour and 35 minutes is gonna be a timer for that upgrade. Poor Prodromos, about to get completely murdered here. I can see it. I'm thinking that the myth units actually do play a role here. That's why he was able to therefore get back, because they are hard to deal with, of course, for Chris without the heroes. 2003, Eric. This is April 2003. Thinking like 28th, or what was it? Let me have a look again. 25th. 25th April 2003 is this game. Half a year after release. There were already some patches, but I don't exactly know which ones. The last patch was 28th April 2004. Was the last patch for both Vanilla and actually even Titans. Titans didn't entirely receive that much of a support, kinda similar to Extended Edition to be honest. Like half a year after release and it was already abandoned. But they were having bigger fish to fry. Because in 2004 they were obviously deep in Age of Empires 3 development, which released 2005, right? I think in 5. But still, kinda like always could have worked on some small balance patches. And not like 103 was actually anything too balanced, right? The original Titans. That really wasn't. Ah, trying to right now find all the remaining trees. That might be. Ah, no, there's one more here to the south. One more tree there. There's another one here. Berries. There's actually 2 trees. Even Oro, he didn't even take all the start in the hunt. Because there was some kind of small raiding on the left finally. Another attempt. But we actually do have a few trees here and there. So there's like a maybe 1,000 wood on the map. If you will be collecting all of these. Already reaching 50,000 on the score. How often are you gonna be seeing such a high score? Not very often at all. As we are at 1 hour and 40 minutes. Now so far the longest game that I have really seen was that one with Arrow. I think that was... I think it was like 1 hour 40? Maybe this is gonna be reaching at this point even further than that therefore. It's about like a 2-hour video that I have on YouTube of that. And that means that with all the stopping and whatever, it will be kind of a little shorter than 2 hours. Like 145, oh, probably 140. Seem to be somewhat vaguely remembering something along those lines. All the dead horses here and riders. All the death and decay here. And we are already streaming for 2 hours. So, yeah. This is going to be definitely a bit of a longer video, it looks like. This definitely seems like that it might be. No, I think it's gonna be a good time also to look into some statistics in the meantime. Wow, look at that economy. No, I'm not gonna be counting that, but in a moment. good resources. Much higher for Salska, and you can see right now with what? Approximately 30, 40, 90,000 resources more for Salska, and he's still not a victor. That's almost not fun. He's legitimately having 90,000 more resources, and he still is not able to be a winner with that. Jesus Christ, that's a difference. And that's something that you are used to. Not even in Age of Empires 2 you're gonna be seeing such differences. You can see right now military counts not entirely that incredibly high, but still 500 more units for Salska, almost 6. That's kinda golden. Interesting how he's actually still leading on the score though. Yeah, I can see the economy is carrying him. 5,000 more for Chris on the military, of course. But 9,000 more on just the echo. You can see now the same-ish advances. 6-minute advance, by the way, for Chris on normal hunt. Ghost Lake. That was kind of funny. 511 Prodromai, 772 Ulfsags, 42 Frost Giants, and only 4 Chimeras. And the Greeks are supposed to be the ones with the most myth units. Otherwise, economies you can see 70 for Salska currently. Fire will be at 58. So still kind of somewhat of a similar difference between them. No, so I guess let's therefore continue. Resume and keep moving with the game and see where it's gonna be resulting or the resolving and who's gonna be actually the victor. Currently I think it's anybody's guess, like who's gonna be winning this. Maybe if you wish you can even make a prediction contest who's gonna be winning it. I'm not sure if anybody has seen this game, because from what I have noticed, even actually people who have somewhat attempted to watch the Reds like never finished it. Even from the posts on RTS-Sanctuary. Okay, we kind of starting to see slightly why, considering its length. Maybe slightly so. So at this point I don't think there's anything else that he could legitimately get. I think he has everything from Chris. On the other side for the Yaros, still the conscription, but otherwise I think he's also having everything by now. On like all the other things. Otherwise, do we have the architects? Yes. Oh, we have also the architects. Nice. So we have actually pulled up some remaining resources to get something more. Apparently, Salska though is ignoring even masons. And making new villages. Like, really? Why? Like, that doesn't seem to be too necessary considering that he's actually having 2,500 resources extra and probably fairly serious stockpile in here. No, like, Jesus Christ, talking about serious stockpile in the buildings. And of course the broken path in here. Yeah, he's having thousands in the military buildings here. So he really doesn't need more villages. So he's probably feeling that he does, but I don't know why he would be actually feeling that way. He's still having good surplus or the good income of units. I'm thinking he's maybe having the problem with the quick creation of the opponent, and he's maybe kind of like it's making him think that his economy is insufficient, his production is insufficient, but it's only because of the speed that is quicker for Chris, and he's basically able to kind of like optically seem that he's better off than Salska, which is not entirely true, but it is obviously having influence on where we are going. But apparently finally we're gonna be having some serious attempt at 1 hour and 43 minutes on blocking the trade. Can see on a fortress and a longhouse. No, that's maybe gonna be. I don't want to right now. Still gonna jinx it, but could maybe just some kind of final, more serious switch of the battlefield a bit elsewhere. But currently with the huge units that currently Chris has, it seems like it's gonna be probably a very quick process of removing Salska's presence here. Complicating, of course, the trading as much as he can. No, right now, even this is gonna be the rare occasion where potentially even the Trojan Gate Hinge relic that we do have next to bottom TC could be somewhat useful. Just to be increasing, of course, the longevity of the wooden wall here. But yeah, well, it's gonna be broken through probably fairly quickly and easily. Don't exactly expect that to be an issue. And apparently we do have some trash in the chat. Some stupid spam. So let's get rid of that and continue focusing on our Age of Mythology. At this point probably can be calling it quite a bit of an epic. Because it's just like, how else do you want to be calling this? Sure, we can imagine all kinds of things could have been done differently. Obviously, yeah, well, that's always easier for us when you're gonna be watching from above and we're not gonna be in the game. Again, it's also vanilla, so that's adding another part to the complexity of the game. You're gonna be having your kind of like brain power quite a bit focused on constantly clicking the new units. Even though maybe Salska could be free in a bit of that intensity, considering what he has in his buildings. Doesn't have to be clicking that often. It really does not. As you can see now, that's gonna be there for Hillfort, probably removed. Yes, sure. And let's maybe switch for a moment into Chris's point of view, who is at this point gonna be having a bit of favor. Already acute. Ah, even Helepol is coming up. I really do wonder if it would be really some kind of idea for him to get the Hetairoy. Like, yeah, I don't know. 5 is probably not enough. But maybe it could be, because he could be going for houses, not for TCs. He could try to go for some house cluster, and 5 Hetairoy could be actually pulling it down with full upgrades pretty quickly, right? Thinking that might be a way to possibly hamper Salska, and it would be also kind of like a double whammy, as you always mention against the Norse, because he has to be not only building those, but he also has to be there for recalling soldiers from the fight-in. So it's always a nice idea to be blocking the housing for the Norse. Because it's 2 in 1, it's a kinder surprise. No, just kinda reminds me I would be definitely liking something like that. When this game is gonna be over, I'm certainly... No, I'm gonna be going for the T, which I kinda naively made before the game. That's gonna be at this point blacker than, I don't know, Night. That's gonna be quite a strong one, but I'm kinda used to them that way through all my streams, and the timing's been all kinds of random. I actually kinda enjoy the strong taste of it. No, but who is not entirely enjoying the strong at this point, and the strength of Polyphemus was Giant. We seem to be at this point basically leaving the position, but it still means that we do have a bit of a stupid position here with walls, and they need to be removed. So I'm thinking that the Helepolis is quite a bit correct to be trying to work on that, because we have already seen the problems on the other side for Salska, who did have some issues with his trade getting congested because of it a bit earlier. No, a bit earlier, about like an hour earlier. No, legitimately about an hour earlier he was having trade problems. They're gonna be inevitably reaching and enclosing on 2 hours of game time. And I actually do wonder what was the absolute longest game of Age of Mythology. Does somebody maybe know? If there was like some kind of... I don't know, it's probably gonna be some random community game. Usually kinda does tend to be that way. I will be expecting it will be a lower level game. As basically players having some good fun and playing a bit of a SimCity, and it gets out of hand, and then basically just like nobody's capable of winning, because they're gonna be playing somewhat like this, but without any kind of side builds and side attempts. What is here to the right? Ah, some random fight. Hippaspis and Jarl. Jarl is gonna be winning that. Apparently already taken down a few villages. Maybe a few farmers are gonna be following after as well. But actually when I'm thinking about it, what could be good now is farm raiding. Because since we don't have any wood on the map, then actually legit farming raiding farms would be nice. And you don't have to be doing it with the units. You just need to be pulling off the enemy farmer and having a villager nearby and delete them. This is something that I have seen maybe like once or twice done. Maybe even inspired, I'm thinking, by our streams. I'm thinking because it was somewhat recently and in community games. I think it was done on purpose, so that we see it as well. But yeah, if you're gonna be on a map where you run out of wood, then do think about it. Because I'm thinking that is a legit way to get some kind of advantage, because it's gonna be extremely annoying, logically, for the other player. He's gonna be also having to think what to do. He's gonna be probably having to buy the wood, therefore... No, probably. Definitely gonna be having to buy it. And there's no certainty that he's exactly gonna be in a position that he can, right now, spend so much gold. Because obviously in the late game, you're already gonna be having the prices completely screwed. And it's gonna be really expensive to get the wood. So So that's also another part to maybe think about there a bit. What is going on here with the trade? Yeah, he's having kind of like... Wait, what? Wait, what? Why is he going for this market? Jesus Christ, what is he doing here? Why is he suddenly having this terrible trade route with 24 gold instead of just going again to the top side and revolving that? Or having the market here through right flank again when he already invested into that small radiant with the Jarl. No, that's not great. That's not gonna be increasing his efficiency too much. But still, he's able to right now keep this battle still on and going. Some improvement. Nope, I don't think it's coming. I don't think that one's coming, the last one. Actually wondering, when we have seen earlier the upgrades, there was also a bit of a disparity. But like, I don't know, 47 to 39. So I wonder if maybe... No, we probably don't have anything like the pigeons, right? For the extra line of sight for the buildings. So there are still a few upgrades that could be done that we do not have. We have heard Frost Giant getting made. Apparently seems like he's having a few more of those clicked in. And I asked for the opponent for Chris, who is right now seeming to be overpowering him. We don't seem to be actually having anything too much new. And his trade is going to be at this point a bit better, right? Yeah, 80. No, much better. Much better than the other side. Well, that's something that Salska needs to be fixing as soon as possible. To be able to again have some lower amount of whales maybe. And therefore, in the end, reach with a bit more army into the battle. Because currently, while he's still somewhat holding it, it feels to me it basically just kind of depends once we're gonna be having a bit less Prodromai. Because currently they seem to be a bit overwhelming in the numbers. And on the other hand, on the other side, it's more Ulfsaks than the cavalry. So I think this needs to be slightly getting fixed for Chris, the ratio. And he's pushing through, in my opinion, just basically on the sheer brute strength. Chris, you can see 160 pop limit, good favor by the way. And Salska is also on the pop, but I'm feeling he's gonna be having more economical units. Most probably. Some new raiding here to the right. Apparently, no, there were already a few villages cleaned up here from the farmland. Can see some dead bodies. They were really fighting him, it looks like. One of the raiders. Seems like the Hippospis will be finally coming in to possibly save the situation. But save the situation. And all that positivity actually needs that. Farmland that much. Let's maybe have a look for a moment here. We have seen plenty of that battlefield on the left. So let's enjoy something a bit of a different intensity. I mean, like the Hippospis here, you could be thinking they're gonna be crap, right? And the cavalry should win. But the problem is that the Hippospis is having 52% melee resistance. So therefore he's barely receiving any kind of damage from the raider. And he does have somewhat solid hit points, 127. So even with low attack of the Hippospis at 8, he's gonna be having only 38 melee resistance. So the attack and defense in the end do have quite a bit of influence on that, as we are now finally breaking through, it seems like, again for about 2 millionth time. Salska is having a bit of an issue, and he finally right now has fixed the trade, so good. Going in kind of stupid direction, but that's because he was nearby, I guess, the market here. Kind of trying to determine if there's some kind of advantage for someone. Seems like that optically that was slightly crazy, but I don't think it's gonna be really lasting. Because we are getting again into the situation of way too many units right now nearby. And just imagine if there was the 11 conscription and you're having the units there so much more promptly, because currently you're having Ulfi at 9 seconds. But if you would be having the discount, which is like 2 times 20%, right? So basically like cutting it almost to half. I think it's like that way, right? In a second, I can right now see that levy is 20%, yes. Conscription is gonna be 30-20. So basically 40% faster. You can be having Ulfsak in like 5 seconds. Like almost half the time. That really makes a lot of difference. To be just a whole lot easier, therefore, for Salska to push Chris away from the spot. No, it seems like we're gonna be inevitably reaching the 2 hours Yeah, almost there. 1 hour and 53 minutes. Of the game already in. What is this? Really? It's gonna be going for such a short trade? I mean, like, he's probably concerned about the long trade that he will be showing it to this opponent, who apparently is going back to the farmland in the end. So he probably wants to be playing it safe. It's still going to be a good secondary trade route. Not as great one as the main, but obviously much better than the nonsense in his base. And yeah, Bronze Boy, definitely the game deserves that. 30th October 2020, oh so, sorry, 2002, different order of the zeros and twos in there. 20 years ago, the game got released. When did you guys actually get the game? Did you get it with release? Or was it somewhere later? I personally got it for Christmas. My brother bought it for me and brought it from Norway. He was studying there on a university in Trondheim. So I got it for Christmas and we immediately started playing with friends from school. I think they were actually having it faster than me. Yeah, they definitely will and were. Because I remember being with one of him, King Wenceslas, at his home. And we were basically like establishing our first clan. And we were so damn like thinking that we were so smart creating the game of the clan. Back then Stargate was a big thing and me and SP. We were like King Wenceslas, SP and me. I was Blackadder of course even back then. Then we were kind of playing together because we were playing Age of Empires 2 before in school also with others. But we like established our clan. It was called Asgard. But it was like ASS. And I'm not sure if there was a guard as in G-U-A-R-D. It was only like a classic guard. So of course the inspiration from Stargate, but with a bit of a twist. So yeah, we were smart back then. We were smart. So, and then for some time we were obviously playing after that. And after, I don't know exactly when it was at this point, but in a few months, maybe actually it wasn't too long, but in a few months, then we were randomly asked with SP. We were playing 2v2s very often. I really enjoyed that mode the most, 2v2s. 1v1s are a bit stressful, 2v2s were kinda more chill. I always like that a lot. It's my favorite mode of gameplay and in Age of Mythology. But nonetheless, a few months after, we were randomly like having a talk in a game and asked if we want to be joining a Nublex clan. I'm actually not sure how they recognized that we were Czechs. I was actually asked, I'm thinking, directly by Dratek. I high level expert back then. He was probably smurfing on some account because otherwise you wouldn't be playing against him for sure. Because you were like, what, 1700s maybe at max at that point. And he was obviously already going to be high level because he was already expert on Age of Empires 2. Or high level player in there. So I just like missing that memory. Why and how did they actually recognize that we were Czech? And asking us to join the clan. Or if there was some kind of like CZ nickname or whatever of the last player. And therefore we just kind of like instantly spoke Czech. I have no idea, but I would be liking to know, because I don't have the memory of that. Just remember how it happened. But well, here, apparently they're already tired of fighting. Maybe they are gonna be going for the peace talks finally after almost 2 hours of gameplay. Can see right now, by the way, the archers not being present, right? Because we are out of wood. Same as the Huskarls for quite some time here. And Valkyrie, well, that's a novelty. Getting a Valkyrie for healing. Valkyrie or Frost Giant, I mean, like, she doesn't cost obviously the gold, right? And he's having plenty of wood. She is actually having fairly decent statistics, 412 hit points. She's not terrible, frankly, as I mentioned earlier, about an hour ago. It's kind of hard to say a bit earlier than it's like hour and a half ago in the game time. It's not entirely too much of a terrible unit. Anyway. Okay, what do we have to the right? Apparently some massive walling going on, as currently this is looking like that maybe blue could be breaking through, but with the Ulfsaks coming up with quite some vengeance. and Zest, it's probably not gonna be entirely too hot yet. As to the right flank there for the walling coming up. But unfortunately for Salska, it looks like we're gonna be breaking through. And Chris is gonna be learning. The trade is in. You can see there's the wall to make sure. Still the few trees here and there if somebody wants. Of course, inefficient farming all across. I mean, like, if you look at this. This is gonna be losing tons of food all the time, every minute. If you will be having full efficiency instead of this. This is kind of like Atlantean farming almost. You played Vanilla 2002 and 2008 and then you got Titans. I got Titans right after. We got it. I think I got actually Titans again for Christmas. Thinking so. Again for Christmas next year. And we were obviously immediately switching. We were playing Vanilla on kind of like the ending days of the heydays of Age of Mythology. When Age of Empires 3 came out, we were playing Vanilla at the end there. With some other experts. I actually got a bit high on rating there, but there were high level players still playing, so it wasn't completely baseless, but it was obviously helped by the fact that there were a lower amount of players. I think it was about like 1850 at that point on Vanilla. And we were actually having some decent success with RTS League with Nublex back then. We were playing against even Vagabond, and I think we were second in some of the like a revival Vanilla League. Have about 3 seasons if I'm not mistaken. After multiple, of course, and many seasons of Titans. So you're doing pretty well there as Nublex. I wasn't playing obviously all the games, but some definitely also. Fairly certain I didn't play against Vagabond though. To be way above my pay grade. To play against those guys. Now we'll see what kind of games you actually get to today. This is obviously quite a bit of a long one. But I definitely want to be showing one special game. So that's gonna be a bit funny. I have no idea how it went. I actually didn't even know it ever happened. Until I found it yesterday when I was looking through my archives. So I'm curious actually about what went on in it. That's a fun one. Just based on the players. And now we'll see. Some other possible games that you could be going for. Plenty of opportunities, but not entirely enough time. So maybe even somewhere in the old times. Or the other times, sorry. You could be it in some old games again. As you can see, you're gonna be yet again heading for the same like idea that you already had before. It's gonna be really quite a bit hard again here. As Chris is gonna be there for having right now the inherent advantage, even sending villages in for some more support, it looks like. To fight. Still having kind of nice units, and the myth units are gonna be massively helping. So maybe even just trying to drop a temple into aggro position to just get the units and get them immediately into the fight, because of course the giants are damn slow. So before they even get into the fight, it's gonna be taking 2 years, even if they are gonna be walking at all. Just Raven, some Oofsa getting a few kills, it looks like. No, it looks like Salska is gonna be again right now. Probably forced off, it feels to me. You know, Fort is too close to fire. Do not therefore have boiling oil as the upgrade that I was looking for. No, plenty, yeah, old RTS League recorded games are unfortunately lost, because that was just like complete disaster in 2006 or 7, or what was it? 2007 I think. No, 6 or 7. When Cloud, the original creator of the web of RTS League, just kind of decided he doesn't want to be supporting it anymore, and instead of moving it and handing it over, just like deleted the web. Just like that. No backup, nothing. Not asking anybody if you want the recorded games or anything, just like gone. So basically all you have are a few games that you can find on RTS League, and then I'm having my games from Nublex, because I was always uploading them and keeping them. So I have Nublex games with all sorts of other clans, and some rare ones that I downloaded, but not too many of those, frankly. Not too many of those at all. No, nonetheless, so it seems like at this point we are going to be having a bit of interesting push with plenty of Ulfies here. Seems like that Chris, no, Salska is having good resources still. Chris, on the other hand, not too bad either, it looks to me. Doesn't seem like there's gonna be any kind of change currently still. And it just didn't finish my thought with the games from RTS League, and now some simply on RTS-Sanctuary. Some are uploaded, mostly finals. Sorry. I think in finals are uploaded commonly on RTS-Sanctuary. So you should be able to find those in either expert recorded games or general ones. Those usually were there. But for the others, yeah, that's unfortunately gonna be lost forever, no? Unless somebody is gonna be having, of course, something hidden in personal archives the same as me. I think there might be some people like that. Here and there, you're gonna be having something showing up. Well, maybe if there's gonna be time somewhere, but it's kinda like hard to find that. But today, maybe you're gonna be doing something. I have some games selected, so we'll see what you're gonna be having time for. But currently, it seems like it actually maybe right now red is overpowering blue slightly. Even with the Hypaspis making an appearance here, it's getting a bit more complicated, apparently out of nowhere. Nope, still the levy not. Seems like the right flank is not gonna be getting anything new, and that's the... No, that's Raven. I was thinking if that's the Ulfsag that was raiding here earlier, but apparently it already got killed a bit earlier by a TC, I'm imagining. As yeah, by the way, past 2 hours of game time. I'm really thinking this is gonna be the longest game I've kinda ever seen. And there we go. Chris is gonna be resigning. I would be loving to see the chat. That really is something that I'm very unhappy that they removed. I would be absolutely loving to see the chat here. It's such a shame that we don't have that. Because I would be liking to see if the reason is I need to be going to the toilet or I need to be going to work or whatever. Because it kind of feels that way, because there doesn't seem to be a reason to actually calling it GG. Because like, why? I mean, like, he's having good resources, pop limit is somewhat okay. On the other side, Salska the same. He definitely needs to be removing some villages. So yeah, I'm thinking he either got bored of the game or something in real life happened. Because otherwise I can't imagine this being just gonna like stop this way. I can see 60,000 on the score. So Alska is curiously ahead because he's having so much more resources, right, all the time. And it's quite a bit clear. But yeah. Okay, so the game's gonna be over. Let's at this point have a look at some absolutely completely mental statistics that you're gonna be seeing in a moment. Let's gonna check out the upgrades at the end. Of course, blue is having all that he needs to. Red, we're gonna be scolding for missing the quicker creations of the units. But otherwise, for the Veligeros, we're gonna be filled for a very long time. That's at least something we can probably pat them on the head for. They weren't missing those. But the other upgrades like the Lone Wanderer, Bacchanalia, I don't know, some further upgrades, Thyrmfrost Giant, whatever things like that, that was missing for a long time. Like, seriously long time. But well, 2 hours, 3 minutes, 36 seconds therefore. And let's have a look into post-game. It's going to be therefore, you can see Salska. No, we can see the score on the economy is carrying him, but the military will be logically much better for Chris. As he did manage to murder way more for Salska. Mythology, because of all the battle favor, is going to be much higher up. No, and what is it? 45 and 9, it's gonna be there for 54, 54 and 69, 123,000 resources more, right? 54 and 60, it's gonna be 114, 123,000 resources more. That is a completely ridiculous number of resources extra. Waiting for the movie credits. Yeah, this would definitely recommend or the want that. And no, again, if there was a chat, you'd be liking that and having that. But unfortunately, they, for some obscure reason, decided not to include it in AoM recorded games. I don't know why. I'm kind of thinking, I'm having a theory. Because they were probably trying to cut down on the size. Because Age of Empires 2 recorded games are actually fairly large, the original game. They were several megabytes. And of course in Titans that was already down to basically like, this is having half a mega. So I'm thinking that's gonna be, was on the chopping block because of that, but I'm thinking that was unfortunately a stupid reason. Something that really shouldn't have been done. Because it wouldn't be even saving too much. I mean, like, how much are you talking during games? That's not much text, right? 700 more units for Salska, but all of them appropriately murdered. That 6-minute advance for Chris was very strange on a higher hunt Ghost Lake. You can see 47 researches against 39. He actually never got the Masons, right? No, of course he didn't. No Masons and Architects. Otherwise the upgrades pretty much following each other quite nicely. No, and yeah, these are kind of promising stats. Ulfsark versus Prodromos. No, you could be thinking that the one with Ulfsarks is gonna be maybe slightly better off. Chimera only 661 Thin Frost Giants in the end. And we were complaining about not enough myth units at about maybe 45 minutes of game time. They did come. They really did. Quite a huge right now movements. When they're of course on the drop of the TC here. But otherwise, before it wasn't entirely that evident. And there were some further drops. And that was some raids probably. And maybe the side builds. But that's something you can't be telling from the just this information obvious right now. 32 villages, and he still survived that, by the way. 32 vills, almost no echo, and he managed to survive that. That's kind of nice. I guess that has to be somewhat lauded as a good achievement. Otherwise, then they were about 60, and you can see right now 80, 70, and he kind of like unnecessarily was doing new villages, Salska, for a long time. He was floating the resources like mad. Because probably he was confused by the fact that he was floating in the buildings and not necessarily in just like his account only. Yeah, you can see right now he's having 10 Ulfsarks and 2 Raiders. So if you're gonna be considering Ulfsark, how much does he cost? 50, 40? 50, 30. So he's having like 500, he's having 1,000 resources right in this. This is 1,000 resources. And he was having that multiple times. You can see another 1,000 here. Not too many actually right now clicked in others, it seems like. But still. Tons of resources coming up. And maybe that's actually what confused him slightly. You can see also it's gonna be having problem because of the runestone, I guess. Some slight issue with that. Forgotten villager. No, and that relic wasn't really important. On the military, we were somewhat similar on the numbers. You can see again the massive drops, especially for blue. Also here, this is vanilla, so it doesn't have to be necessarily meaning you just can like always having some problems with the resources. You're gonna be seeing this a lot more. Titans curves are gonna be more level because you are having the auto queues, right? So that's working that way much better. So here it's more reliant upon if you're gonna be forgetting to click maybe here and there. No, otherwise some current resources. And of course, the no wood here at the end. At about 90 minutes, all the wood ran out on the map. And ever since then, it was about different types of units. You can see right now from the early stages, he increased the difference. There were some more upgrades coming up here. Really? 76? No, that couldn't be. That had to be switched into more efficient trade. Yeah, that was switch into better trade, maybe even get in coinage. Because that was taking him a long time to get. That might be coinage actually here, the jump ahead. Quite possibly could. It was actually in food though. You can see food was okay. Gold, yeah, okay, so coinage is there, but apparently even in food. That's a bit confusing because he was having upgrades already by then, for sure. So I guess maybe just more farmers, suddenly. Has to be it. No, nonetheless, that was therefore quite a bit of an epic. From the old school experts PG Fire, aka Lemchris, and VinaCIS Salska. From half year after release of the game. No, and so that's actually what used to be done back then. And kind of like the type of gameplay, especially in the early stages, the builds and build orders and the ways to play. And GG.